Hello and welcome to the Gamers of the Lost Spark podcast. This is episode 19 and we're recording this on the 23rd of September 2015. I'm Darren Whittam and joining me as always is the other Spark on the podcast. He's here for the benefit of us all. It's Anthony Chesson. Hello, mate.
That's a smart man's intro. Hello, how you doing?
I'm alright. How have you been, man?
Yeah, not too bad. It's autumn, autumn's here, which is just kind of, as seasons go, this, if we did a top 5 seasons, obviously there's only 4, but it's autumn's here, so it's good. We've got some good TV programs are coming back, obviously loads of gaming. Pumpkin spice latte from Starbucks is back.
Top 5 seasons. I think there is 5 seasons. I think as the climate's changed, I think we do need to insert an extra season in, because from my point of view, it seems to be you've got spring, and then you think you've got summer for a couple of weeks, and then you get this ditch of sort of winter, and then it warms up for a while, and then you get autumn. So I think there's room for 5. I was thinking of the name for it. It was either going to be Orma, which I don't think is quite as good as Sortum.
But Sortum, some minter.
Just Sortum. Yeah, Sortum. And that's my new season, and that's what we've been going through while we've had a bit of warmer weather after the dire weather we had in the middle of August. August is basically a write-off these days. It's kind of a wintry month.
Yes, and that's why I think that we should never have that gaming lull, should we, of games. There should always be just kind of constant games coming out, because there's always crap weather.
Yeah, especially for us in the UK. Like we said on another podcast, we were talking about the weather, and we were just like, well, it's been a good summer for games because there's nothing to go out for because it's too grim and dreary.
Absolutely. So how's your week been?
Yeah, it's not been bad. What have I done this week? I have been getting excited about EGX, that of course we're going to meet up at on Sunday, and I got all hyped up about booking a slot to experience some VR, so some PlayStation VR and HTC Vive VR, and there was opportunities to book slots for both of these features, and I did both, and then got disappointed with Morpheus because at the end of filling in quite a few different questionnaires, are you a gamer? How much do you like games? Are you going to buy Project Morpheus or
what's your inside leg measurement like?
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you drink your coffee with your left or right hand? It was quite a lengthy questionnaire, wasn't it, before you got to the good stuff?
It was, wasn't it? And I was being so good, so well behaved, because I was thinking, this might, put my chances better for getting a slot. And then at the end it was like, let's find a trial then for you in your area at EGX. Oh, nothing's available. I was like, gutted.
Yeah, I got the same as well.
Yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it? And then same for HTC Vive. Another questionnaire. Are you going to... How would you rate yourself on HTC Vive? Are you going to definitely buy it? Maybe buy it? Not buy it at all. I just said definitely buy it, which happens to be the truth. But yeah, that I'm just awaiting a reply for. So I think I didn't realise it was a competition. They make these things into a competition these days. I thought it was just, you're just applying for a slot. But now it's a big competition. Woohoo! And the winner is. So I haven't got an email yet. Apparently the winners will find out by midnight tonight. So
but there's bound to be a lot of people that maybe don't turn up or drop out. It might be worthwhile just kind of when we get there on Sunday, because we're going to EGX on Sunday, aren't we?
Yeah.
So when we get to Eurogamer Show on Sunday, just kind of heading straight to there and see if we can kind of get in queue.
Yeah, I'm well up for that. That's the first place I want to go. I don't care. I'll follow you around for the rest of the thing. Whatever you want to do, I don't care. I'll be there for you. I'll be your buddy. But I just want to see if we can get on Survive. And I sort of like it. We just go there. If they say not a chance, that's fine, and it won't be on my mind. Just get that closure. The other thing that's happened this week is my phone went down again. I'm having some problems with my phone provider, which is PlusNet, and it's gone down again, and it's been annoying me. And it's sort of, they're supposed to be fixing it today. I hope that when they fix it, they don't pull out my internet at the same time, especially not while we're recording this, because that would be really troublesome. And it just made me think. I was thinking, what am I doing with this landline anyway? And I was trying to think why I use it. Why I've still got one. And I wanted to ask you this. Have you got a landline at home? As well as your mobiles and stuff?
I have got a landline, but there is no telephone plugged into it. The only thing that's plugged into it is my broadband. So do you pay line rental so that you can have broadband because you have to? Yes.
Right. Well, I'm paying for a phone line, and I think I'm just doing it out of tradition because there was always one in the house when I was small. I don't use it, I never use it, but it just comforts me that it's there. And it breaking has just sort of made me realise this. The only reason that phone exists is because my mum and dad ring me on it. and I pick it up to ring them. But there's no reason why I have to do that when I can just use my mobile. So I'm thinking, am I just stuck in the dark ages? Sounds like I am. So I'm thinking of getting rid of it because I'm paying so much a month for it and there's absolutely no need for it. But it's just something about seeing it there makes it feel like a home because of when I was small and you had a phone, you know, and I haven't got over not needing a phone anymore.
Yeah, no, it's quite interesting because, like, you know, my family kind of live all around the place, and, you know, my brother and his family live in Canada, so we spend a lot of time when we talk to each other, we either do it over Xbox Live or we do it over FaceTime. So I always kind of use those, and when I'm speaking to my dad, you know, it's mostly the mobile phone, or my sister, you know, it is just like, a lot of the time we do use FaceTime, and we're like an Apple advert, the Chessons, you know, we walk around the house with FaceTime, you know, and it's quite interesting how I don't use a phone at all, you know, how modern technology has really moved on, and I just use those now. But, you know, playing whatever game with my brother and just talking to him over Xbox Live is fantastic because it's the cheapest telephone call to Canada ever because, you know, not only are you kind of having a bit of a game of something, you're also just kind of catching up. So that's quite cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm thinking I might get rid of it and just abandon using copper wire for landline phones anyway. I still have to use it for my internet, unfortunately, because fibre isn't in my area yet, which is a shame. But yeah, so it just sort of brought it up.
No, it's interesting, isn't it?
I wondered with our listeners, is this of people still using landlines? Are most people not? Have most people sort of woken up and just thought, oh, you don't need them? Or is there a reason that somebody would want one? I know that once I thought, if you had a business at home, maybe it lent more eligibility to a business by having a landline number, and a mobile number made it look a bit shady. But these days, I mean, a few years have tumbled past since then, and I'm wondering if these days then that really doesn't matter, and that sort of stigma has faded. So yeah.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, most of the people that I deal with, most vendors and stuff, and through my work, you know, we're always contacting each other on mobile phones. You know, it's just that is the number to get everybody on.
Yeah,
you know, it's just
and
because you know it's there. You know they have it, so it's quite interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose you can always get a SIP line anyway. That might be getting a bit too technical, but you know, you could always do that. Get a SIP number. And what was the other thing I did this week? I've ordered some gaming T-shirts.
Oh, interesting. Where did you get them from?
I took a risk, right, and just gone sort of left field, and I had a search online because I just wanted pure gaming stuff, and I found a place. Maybe you've heard of them. 8-Ball T-shirts. Have you heard of them?
I do. I have a lot of 8-Ball T-shirts.
Yes. So they're all right. They're of a good quality, are they?
They are indeed. They use kind of like American Apparel sometimes, T-shirts. They're really good. I think I've got my Batfleck T-shirt, you know, because Ben Affleck's going to be Batman. I got a Batfleck T-shirt. That's an 8-Ball. My Halo T-shirt is an 8-ball as well. What ones did you get?
Oh, you put me on the spot here. I got a Commodore 64 one.
Nice.
I got one that's like an international karate or whatever kind of a karate game. It doesn't say IK Plus, probably from licensing. So an 8-bit karate game picture of the red and white guys fighting in the sunset. What else did I get? You know, I can't remember, but a few. I'll remember when the package arrives. So
will they arrive before Sunday?
Yeah, they will. They should arrive tomorrow. I thought
awesome.
they might come today, and I was going to sort of like say, yeah, they were all right, and I would have known which ones they were. But yeah, I think I ordered about 6. So we'll just see. Some of them are really cool, but I just can't remember what they were. But yeah, I will report back next week on the quality of them, and we'll see if they're any good. I was actually going to email them and say, yeah, you want to send me some for free, and I'll mention you on the podcast, but I didn't bother because I thought it was inappropriate.
Cheeky. No, I mean, I must say, I always go for a Dark Bunny tee. Is, you know, as I said time and time again, you know, Dark Bunny tee have some fantastic movie T-shirts, and I also Insert Coin have some great T-shirts as well. And Insert Coin they've got some new Destiny T-shirts at EGX this week, so they're hopefully they're going fully stocked because I want a couple when we get there on Sunday. So they've got some of those. They've also got some rare ones, as in, you know, rare limited, rare replay. They've got some rare ones coming soon that I've got my eye on as well.
Oh, cool! Yeah, I know. I did look at Insert Coin, and yeah, they look really cool. And for some reason, I just went with 8-Ball because I got fed up. I had like so many tabs open, and in the end, I just thought, you know, something. This place seems okay. They've got quite a few I want. They had a few for kids as well, so I got Sam a few.
Fantastic!
Yeah, so we'll see what I'll see what they're like, and I'll report next week on the quality of the T-shirts. And I'm really happy because I haven't ordered any gaming T-shirts for ages, so I'm really excited about that.
Fantastic. It's quite funny, and then we'll kind of get off. But they were quite funny. The other day, I went into Tunbridge Wells, and I had my Aperture Laboratories T-shirt, from
Portal.
from Half-Life, from Portal, and this guy turned around to me and he was like, "Oh," he said, "What laboratory do you work? What do you work on? What's your field?" and I just looked at him. I was like, "It's gaming," That was it. I had nothing to go back with. I was like, "It's a gaming T-shirt," and he was like, "Oh, okay," I thought, because when he turned around and went, "Nice," I thought, "Oh, he's obviously played Half-Life," and then he was just like, "What field do you study at Aperture Laboratories?" And I was just like, "Gaming."
Did you not tell him you were researching portals?
I really should have done, because I think that's what Nicola said. She goes, "Oh, you missed your opportunity there."
Brilliant. Have you been up to anything else?
No, that's about it really for me. Just kind of enjoying autumn and drinking too many pumpkin spice lattes. So, what have you been playing this week?
Me, what have I been playing this week? It's not much has changed. September is Metal Gear month for me. I think I've decided. I'm still deep into Metal Gear Solid. Probably not as deep as I should be, but that's not for want of playing it. I tell you that. So I'm still reveling in Metal Gear Solid 5. Just loving it. I can't really add any more than I've already previously said, and I certainly don't want to spoil anything, but it's just dead good. I'm a bit stuck on a mission at the moment, and when the dust settles, I'll maybe comment a bit on that. But I'm a bit stuck. But that isn't putting me off. It's just making me think, so what is it wanting me to do with the tool set that it's given me? How it's challenging me here to approach it in a different way. What is it that I'm supposed to do? And it's made it clear that all guns blazing isn't the case. I'm thinking it's sort of luring somebody away or whatever, doing it that way. But that maybe it's just that I'm running out of patience, but that doesn't seem the correct approach either. So I'm a bit stuck. I think probably it is. It's probably just having to wait. So my new strategy is I'm going to try out the cardboard box that I never use. So I'm going to hide in the box and see if that conceals me for this certain situation. And that's pretty vague. And Resogun still. I'm sort of determined to complete Veteran, which I thought I'd be able to do easily, and I haven't been able to do it yet, so that's keeping me interested. And just the shower of pixels that everything explodes into, I love that game. It's fantastic. And
I know it's a silly question, but did you buy the DLC for Resogun?
Not yet, because I've got too much pleasure out of the game itself. So no, no.
Right.
What's it? Do you remember what's included? I've seen it sort of advertised. And I'm just
but I remember it being quite cool. And I remember thinking, if I ever get back into it, maybe I should download it. I think it was kind of a nod to another game or something like that. But I just know that they brought out some DLC. And did you get Resogun free with PlayStation Plus?
I did. No, I didn't. I missed it because it was a launch. It was a launch game for PS Plus, and I didn't get my PlayStation till Destiny came out. So I missed it. So I had to buy it because that kind of game is just me. So I was like, oh, that's a shame I missed it. But yeah, so I bought it. But I don't regret it. And I'd probably buy the DLC, excuse me, once I'm good enough at the game. So I won't be buying it until I've done this. I need to complete Veteran, and then I'll need to complete Master. And it's pretty hard. But I remember reading a review for this extra content, and it was very favourable. And it did sound really cool. And I was like, I should get that. And then I was just kind of like, well, hold on a minute. You're rubbish. You haven't done it. You've got to you've got to learn to walk before you can run. So I've sort of thought, no, I'll just do this. And it's this gaming pride. It's like, well, if you haven't got the skill to do this, you don't deserve it. There's no reward for me until I've actually completed sort of the first levels. So yeah, I'm enjoying that. And I've had a few goes on the Dear God, which was the Xbox One's Xbox Live Games with Gold.
Yes.
For I think.
What did you think?
Yeah, I didn't like it.
It's quite weird, isn't it?
It is weird. They've tried to mash together too many genres, and they've come out with less than the sum of its parts. I think because it's kind of an endless runner mixed with like a roguelike and with a few like quests thrown in, and ultimately it becomes. I think you summed it up. Weird. Empty, vacuous, weird. I don't feel that there's much of an objective. It's strange, or you think there's an objective at the start, and then you can just end up just running along for ages because you don't realise it's an endless runner, and then you're like, well, I'm getting nowhere here. What am I supposed to be doing? So yeah, I'm not impressed. I'm going to be deleting it. Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So have you had a dabble on the Dear God then?
I had one go. I think when it first came out and I downloaded it, I had a quick go. I think I've literally had one go at it, and I think I felt the same. You know, it was very endless runner. I was doing that, and then it suddenly just got a little bit kind of, what am I supposed to do? And I just kept running, and then I failed. And then, like I say, it's probably something you need to put a lot of time in. But it was, for me, I think it was, I just finished work, and I thought I'd just have a quick play because it had downloaded, and I didn't give it time. But it's quite interesting that your kind of thoughts were my first kind of throwaway thoughts, were that it was just trying to do too much.
Yeah, I didn't like it, and I usually love pixely games like that because they're sort of 8-bit nostalgia, but it didn't hold up for me. I didn't like it. So yeah, what about you? What have you been playing, sir?
Well, I've had a Metal Gear Solid 5 free week, and I'm really missing it. I was this evening, just before I kind of came up to record the podcast, I was thinking about it, and I was thinking I might play tonight, kind of after we've recorded the podcast, because I actually haven't played Metal Gear Solid all week. What I've been playing, and I've got deep into, is Destiny. Nicola and I cannot stop playing Destiny. It's fantastic. I'm getting close to maximum level, and I'm gonna tweet that if I get maximum level, because I never thought I'd ever get maximum level on a Destiny game. But we're really enjoying it. I said last week how they've really kind of injected character into the storyline, and I don't even have air quotes there. They've really kind of injected character into it, and it's all the way through. You really we now know what we're doing. The story just makes you want to just continue going and continue on to the next level. I mean, so much so that on Sunday, we in the morning, we popped off to the garden centre to get something, and we were having lunch with some friends at 1 o'clock, and we got home at about 10 past 12, and we were like, should we have a quick go at Destiny? And we just quickly jumped in, because we were that kind of hooked from our Saturday night gaming that we wanted to continue the story. And Destiny's definitely got its claws back in me. I haven't even been to the Crucible. I'm just doing the story and the quests, and I can't praise it enough. Even Nicola's saying, it's a different game. This is what we should have got. I think a lot of people would have been a lot happier if Destiny 2.0 was the launch game. And if Bungie should have waited a while and got this out, they would have done wonders. I think a lot of people that have probably, like yourself, that have just kind of shut the book on that or removed it from their hard drive, they're missing out. And we haven't even, I know there's a raid that unlocked on Friday, but we haven't even, we're nowhere near going to attempt that, but we definitely want to attempt it. And, but at the moment, we're just enjoying the story and the side quests.
Wow. And, it's that bad because you paint a lovely picture, mate. You're selling it well. You're talking about it there, and I'm thinking, I want to get involved. So could I could join in with you guys, couldn't I, if I had the game?
Well, yeah, you could. I mean, because a fire team is 3 members for the missions. That's like 3 members, and the raid is, I think, 5 or 6. And it's quite interesting because one of the things that everybody raves about is a raid, and Nicola and I have never done that because the people that we normally play co-op with, some of them are not playing it, even though they've bought it. They've never kind of really, they haven't got there, and a couple of other friends have they've got there at different times or on different platforms. So we actually haven't done a raid. We tried it once, but it all got a bit confusing. We didn't have enough people, we didn't have enough firepower, so we stopped doing it. But like I say, at the moment, the story missions are great. You know exactly what's going on. There is a story, and some of the new places are fantastic. And as I was saying last week, the boss, the new enemy, the Taken, is great. You're kind of just watching them as they move around. I mean, no spoiler, but there's one character or one class of the Taken that just keeps multiplying. So they'll kind of drop behind a rock, and then you'll suddenly see them splitting 2, and then suddenly you've got 2 of them, and then they'll do it again. So you start panicking because you need to take them out, and it's really good. I'm just really enjoying it, and all of it makes sense. Where before I was, looking on forums and talking to people, going, "What am I doing wrong? Why aren't I leveling up?" And now I completely understand. I mean, I must admit, if you're jumping into Destiny right now from never playing it, if you're a brand new player, it might be a little bit confusing because you'll have this clunkiness that is the first level of the campaign and maybe the DLC, and then suddenly you'll get to the Taken King, and your game will be completely different. And but it's fantastic. I'm really enjoying it, and and that's kind of kept me away from Metal Gear. So not that it's better than Metal Gear, but it's definitely kind of playing that with Nicola has just been great fun. So it's that's kind of how I've been gaming.
Wow, it sounds like
I've been gaming with.
Go on, mate.
No, after you.
I was just going to say, it sounds like they've made good on the promises.
Absolutely. I think they really have. They really have.
Speaking there, it's making me want to play it. As you talked about that, then I felt an urge. Seriously, I felt an urge to get back on it, and I think it's just highlighted or just clicked to switch in me. That's made me realise I haven't played a shooter for ages, literally since Destiny. I haven't played a shooter since Destiny, because there was Destiny and then a sort of Bloodborne, The Witcher, and now Metal Gear. I think it's about time for me to get back into an FPS. So I don't know what I'm going to do. I think maybe I'll give it another chance. If they do a Destiny 2, I'll get back involved. Unless I get even more tempted with you raving about this Destiny 2.0. But what's coming out next? That's a shooter. Halo.
Halo 5.
I don't know. It's not. Yeah, I suppose it is the same. It is pretty much the same, isn't it? Yeah. Let's hope.
Well, it is to Destiny.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the same. They come from the same. They definitely come from the same parents.
Yeah, they certainly do. So I suppose it's that then. It's just that I don't know if there's very much Master Chief in it from what I'm seeing. That's silly.
There's that. There's also. I mean, it's quite interesting. I think a lot of the big kind of gaming review sites had some coverage of Halo today, because I noticed this morning when I woke up, a lot of the US sites, there was suddenly a lot of Halo campaign coverage, and there was also a really nice intro or trailer that was broke by Halo or by Microsoft today, which showed Blue Team, which looked really good. There was some great cinematics there. That really got me excited for Halo. And of course, we did tweet it out, but the radio drama that is Hunt the Truth, any Halo fans should be listening to. Season 2 started that, so the Halo hype campaign has started.
Yeah, in earnest. Yeah, so I suppose I'll just wait for Halo 5 then and get involved with that. But you just talking about it, it's really making me want to go out and buy Destiny again.
I should stream it so you can have a look and I can show you all the differences.
Yeah, that'd be cool. So yeah, you've definitely sold it there.
And then the other game I've been playing this week, which has taken up a lot of my kind of my gaming time, is Forza 6. So I finally got Forza 6. My copy finally unlocked. I said last week how I got the wrong copy. I downloaded the wrong copy. My copy finally unlocked, and on Friday. And what a fantastic game that is! You played the trailer or the demo, Darren, didn't you? And it's so smooth. Forza 6 is just glorious. You're playing it. I'm already kind of going through, they call it volumes, and I'm just kind of going through the volumes. I'm leveling up. The interesting thing about Forza 6 that I'm really liking is they have a thing called mods in Forza 6, and they're almost like Halo Skulls, if you will, where you can have extra XP, or you maybe start a couple of places back on the grid, or you have extra weight in your car, and they have all these things, so you can gain XP by adding these mods, or some of them help you, and you can have 3 per race. And you can just equip them, and they're really good fun. So it's kind of similar to Halo Skulls, but then you can buy packs. So with the credits that you're accumulating for racing and stuff, you can then buy packs, and then the more packs you unlock, the more of these mods you get. And that's kind of similar. I don't know if you ever played it, but Plants vs. Zombies kind of had these kind of almost trading card packs. So it's kind of a cross between that and also and the Halo Skulls, and it just works really well. So a cheap pack, which will give you maybe just some basic mods, is 12,000 credits, and then the platinum mod is like 50,000 credits, and then you just and you can unlock them as you go along, and it's really good. I really like that. It's a really nice addition to the Forza 6 model.
It puts me in mind of Mass Effect 3 multiplayer. Did you play that? And that had different packs that you could buy with the credits that you made, and they gave you different boosts and things. Do you remember that? And there was like ultra rare and stuff. I don't know if it follows the same pattern in Forza, but then you could attribute these abilities to your character, and it wouldn't be forever. It would just be like for a stack of levels, either that arena match or something. So it sort of reminds me like that. Is it turning into a bit of a RPG then?
It really is. I guess it is. It's just you have your cars. You're changing your cars up constantly with the different volumes, because then you get to choose whether you want like a sports car, a muscle car, Formula One. You have those options as you do in all of the Forza games. But then when you go into that particular race, there's even some of the mods are for particular courses. So it's like for this course, you get to do for every slipstream you get extra XP and things like that, and it's a really lovely addition. And like I say, it looks fantastic. They have Brands Hatch in Forza 6, which I think is the first time that Brands Hatch, which is a famous racecourse here in the UK, not far from where I live, and used to spend a lot of time there when I was a kid. So they have Brands Hatch, and it's lovely. It's just racing around Brands Hatch. It's just fantastic. I haven't raced around there since I think it was in Codemasters game. It was like in a Codemasters game, like Toka touring cars or something like that. So it was really nice as Brands Hatch as an addition. And it's really funny how I was playing Forza Horizon, and now I've gone into Forza 6, and it did take me a good couple of hours to readjust, and it made me realise kind of how arcadey Forza Horizon is compared to Forza Motorsport, because I was finding I wasn't turning the corners just as well, as well as I would have done in Forza Horizon with kind of late braking and things like that. And I'm really liking it. So between those two games, they have kind of kept me really occupied this week.
Yeah, it's great, isn't it? These games that we've got at the moment, we're both completely satisfied with the games that we've got. And it's more than enough, isn't it, to tide you over to the next blockbuster?
It really is. And, and they're so good. And with that, with Metal Gear Solid as well, all of those are keeping me occupied and making me ignore Lego Dimensions, because there's been a lot of coverage about Lego Dimensions, and it comes out this week, and I am convincing myself that I don't need it. I don't need it.
This is shocking. This is shocking. You keep telling yourself that, mate. We'll talk next week and see what's happened.
Yeah, next week I'll be like, I've bought Lego Dimensions. But I hope they don't have it. I mean, I played it at Gamescom, and I don't know if it was a breakdown in language or communication, or just the fact that I only had kind of half an hour, but it seemed weird. But I actually watched a Twitch stream with someone going through Lego Dimensions with the Traveller's Tales guys, and it just looked so good. It just looked so good, and I was very tempted, but I'm not going to get it. I'm not going to get it.
Wow, you're holding back. But there's plenty of time. Well, I say that, but what window is there for Lego Dimensions? It's difficult.
Well, exactly, and then obviously once you finish the game, then there are all those other packs that are, I think they're kind of about £20, aren't they? And each one has, a good couple of levels. I mean, I don't know if you ever played, well, with the last Batman Lego game, which was really good, and they had some DLC, there was a Green Lantern one, there was a Batman 66 DLC, and each one of those was like just a one screen, a one level game that you had to play multiple times. There was achievements, and the Lego Dimensions looks like that, but just a little bit bigger. Each one of those packs gives you maybe 3 levels rather than 1, so each one is probably about, I don't know, about 2 or 3 hours gameplay, tops, if you get everything. So they are okay. I mean, you'd probably enjoy the nostalgia of jumping into, Ghostbusters or Doctor Who or
it's like
The Simpsons.
It does look like the ultimate mashup game.
Oh, it really does.
And it's got great backing with the voice cast and the actors that are there, reprising their roles in there. You got Michael J. Fox. And Doc Brown, what's his name? Christopher Lloyd, doing the voices. We posted an article about all the different cast in there, and it was just like, wow, there's a lot of money been spent here, and a lot of love gone into the game. So it does look good. It does look good, and yeah, I'll be looking at the reviews with interest, and I'll probably feel a pang of want. I must admit, I'm feeling it now. I wouldn't mind getting involved, but like yourself with Destiny and Forza,
there's something about that minifig. Exactly. I mean, there's something about that draw, isn't there, of a minifig that kind of makes me interested in Lego Dimensions.
Yeah.
More so, I think this week as well. I think Skylanders comes out as well, and I have zero interest on Skylanders. Obviously, I've bought Disney Infinity, and I'm waiting for the Star Wars, the kind of the original trilogy Star Wars packs to come out in October. But there's something about Lego Dimensions and those minifigs that just make me want to jump back in.
It's got to be something about us playing with it as kids, But yeah, Skylanders is looking like it's good from what I've seen earlier reports. A few headlines I've seen have been like, yeah, Skylanders, whatever it's called, is the best Toys to Life game so far. But then these reviews are before the reviews for Lego Dimensions, obviously. So it's interesting, though. Skylanders came out first, didn't it? So they've had sort of the most time to hone their craft with Toys to Life.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I bought Skylanders and Skylanders 2, I think, and had quite a collection that I took back to game when Disney Infinity came out.
So if you could only pick one Toys to Life game, platform, whatever you want to call it, which one would you go for? Lego Dimensions, Disney Infinity because of the Star Wars stuff?
Yeah, Disney Infinity because of Marvel and Star Wars, I think.
Yeah, that's a good combination. It's a killer combo, that, isn't it?
It really is, and who knows what they'll buy next and bring into it.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, yeah, who knows?
So with that, let's start the news section. And in this week's news section, we have great news about upcoming Star Wars Battlefront beta, rumours of another Toys to Life contender, and also more Batman DLC news than you can shake a batarang at. So, Darren, do you want to kick off, or is it? I think it's me who's kicking off. The first piece of news is with me, and that is about Jonathan Blow's fantastic game, which is The Witness. So this is Jonathan Blow, who created Braid, and Witness has been given a release date, and that release date is the 26th of January. So you just about got time to get over that kind of winter lull, and then The Witness is coming out. Now this is console exclusive, I believe, to PS4, and I've been hearing. I mean, they had a trailer when they announced the release date of January 26th to 2016. They also showed a trailer, and the trailer just looked magnificent. And I've also been listening to a few podcasts where they've one podcast, which is the official PlayStation podcast, has had hands-on time with this, and I think they're the only one at the moment. And they say that they've clocked up about 50 hours so far, and they've only done 260 of the 650 puzzles that are in this game. So I was just like, wow, that just sounds incredible. And they just said that every single one is like, it brings something new, and it's very much a spiritual successor or a reimagining of the PS1 classic Myst.
Oh wow, that sounds so cool. I was wondering why it's taken so long, because they showed it when they were launching the PS4, didn't they? Said, yeah, we've got The Witness by Jonathan Blow, so it's taken a while, to develop. So I'm crossing my fingers that it's going to be great, but I'm confident and I'm hoping that it will be, because Braid is one of my favourite games of all time. I really, really love it. And I know this is a different sort of game, but it's still puzzly, and it's still by Jonathan Blow, and it does look really nice. So, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. I just thought it would have been out sooner. But, Braid blew me away. There was something about that watercolour imagery. It was the imagery and the music that hooked me first, because in the demo that really showcased those aspects, it didn't really get into the rewinding time bit and the really meaty puzzly stuff of the game. I bought it just on that because I just sort of fell in love with its wistful nature. And it was only after that I experienced the full beauty of that game. And so, because this is, it's obviously taken a lot of time to produce, I'm pretty confident that this could be another stunning game, and yeah, I can't wait. I will probably be getting this as soon as it becomes available.
Yes. I mean, they were saying in an interview with Jonathan Blow that he's been working on this literally since the moment that Braid shipped. He's been thinking about this game and working on it. So he has been working on it for years. Some almost 7 years just working on this. There's no cutscenes. It's just kind of straight into the quests and off you go. And it sounds like a wonderful game. I guess the only issue you could have with this is that they're going to be bringing out something as amazing as The Witness, and we'll stick the trailer in the notes of the podcast because it's a must see for anyone who's slightly interested. But you've got this, and then No Man's Sky. When's No Man's Sky coming out? Where because if this comes out in January, they're going to have to give me a good couple of months before they bring No Man's Sky out because they're going to clash, aren't they? It's just going to.
I don't know. I see this as sort of a bit of a dip in, dip out game. You get a puzzle done, and then maybe have a rest, with your sort of long term game on the side. But it's sort of been quite, I'm not exactly sure of the nature of the game, but that's sort of what I'm expecting and what I'm hoping really. So you dive in, get your Witness fix, solve a puzzle. I hope that it doesn't sort of get like some of these games where it just gets so confusing you think, it's just too much hassle to be bothered with. I've had a few games like that recently. Let me think about an example. For instance, that free one, that Teslagrad, that was on.
Right.
I'd start, you play through it and it introduces the mechanics, and then it just gets, gradually harder, and then I was just like, right, can't be bothered. I haven't got the time to think about it. And I think that's not just about being lazy. I think that there's something about the game, when a game's good enough, you want to do it. Do you know what I mean? So it's not just like it can't be bothered because I'm too lazy as such, but the game isn't enticing enough to make you do it. And it happened as well with that weird cat game, which was another free one from Xbox. Or was it? No, it was on PS4, that one. And you sort of grabbed the blocks. It was quite recent. What was it called? See, I can't even remember the name because it was. And it introduced the mechanics again. And you're like, okay, I understand this, and then it just like gets all convoluted on the level. It's like, actually, I just haven't got time to be bothered, and that's just because the game isn't enjoyable enough to invest that time in. So I'm hoping that for a start, it'll make you want to play it, and it'll be rewarding. Just the mechanics to play it and solve, and I think it's going to have freedom in the way that you solve these puzzles, from what I've seen. So I'm just hoping it's going to be rewarding and enjoyable enough to play, but also to be one of those games that you can just dip in. But then, we'll see. I mean, I got hooked on Braid. Braid, you could say, is one of those games you could just dip in, but I just played that for hours and hours and hours on end. I absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it, to the point where I was sort of starting to go on the internet and research about the ideas behind the game, because it's so sort of melancholy, and sort of working out what it was, because there's all theories about what's happening in the game, and it's like a dream. Some people hypothesized, for instance, that the main character, this was his dream, and it was about the guy that, for instance, I don't know if I'm exactly correct here, but it was like the guy that invented dynamite or something, but not him, or the guy that split the atom. And this guy had sort of triggered off what he knew would be the end of the world, and he was locked in his own nightmare about that, and that's what Braid was and stuff. And I was like, wow, it's all really interesting and conspiratorial, so I got really hooked on that. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to The Witness. And yeah, what else is coming out in January? There is a bit of a lull, in the around that area. So yeah, there should be some time to play it anyway. Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, but I think there are a lot of games that are moving to spring. But say, like you say, something like The Witness, it does seem like one of those ones like you've had a hard day at work or something like that, and you could just relax into those visuals, and it would just be depending on how hard the puzzles are, but you'll be able to just kind of chill, relax, and just enjoy it. But I watched that trailer about 2 or 3 times, and it just looks fantastic. It looks amazing game. Yeah,
and with this guy's a talented guy with all this time. This probably the game that he's wanted to make for ages, and maybe it couldn't be made on sort of the previous generation. So yeah, definitely one to look forward to. Yeah. And so the next piece of news is with my good self, and this one's about, we talked a little bit last week about games having an influence on people, and we've had a guy here from Skegness who caused thousands of pounds worth of damage to cars parked as he raced around a place called Grantham on a busy Friday night. He went on a joyride, basically, and when he got caught by police, which he eventually did, they threw a stinger over the road and caught him. He said that he said he'd never taken a driving test, and his driving skills were all learned on his PlayStation.
Oh,
so
no.
that's his reason. That's his reason for going out, driving all around at breakneck speed. It's, well, I learned on PlayStation. What's that about? What is that about?
You can imagine when the police pulled him over. He's just got a controller for a steering wheel.
He's modified it. There's no steering wheel there. There's just a load of wires sort of hanging out and into his DualShock.
Oh my God. Just as we were saying, games are fine and they don't cause any problems. You get someone like this, and probably even more embarrassing to say that, I used to live in Skegness, well, not far from Skegness as well. That's where my dad lives at the moment, not about 10 miles.
He might have seen this
guy.
guy.
I know Grantham. Well, exactly. I know Grantham very well, and also there was always a lot of kind of boy racers, my brother being one of them.
Yeah, but, he had a licence, didn't he? Or did he just have his Gran Turismo instruction book? Goodness. Yeah, 100 mile per hour chase through Grantham, it was. And I know I sort of thought about not mentioning it because I like to defend gamers. But, there's nutters in all walks of life, isn't there? So this happened a little while ago, I think, and it went to court yesterday. Actually, let's just check this. It's on ITN News. So 17th of September it went to court, sorry. So a little while ago. And he was jailed for 12 months. After he admitted the charges, with driving without a licence or insurance and stuff, and he was banned for 3 years, and he's been ordered to take an extended test, or even just a test, I think would be a good start. And the judge said you only learnt to drive on a PlayStation game. You were driving like a PlayStation game. You drove as fast as you could, as if in a video or PlayStation game, without any care for those around you. So there you are. And so he's been jailed for 12 months for that, and... how ridiculous is that?
Absolutely, it's ridiculous that a Burke like that, but it's quite interesting that Formula One drivers also say that they learn courses using, I think it was Lewis Hamilton, wasn't it, who said that he learned to drive, I think, the Canadian Grand Prix on a PlayStation.
Oh, right. See, you've missed your vocation. If you would have been this guy's lawyer, you could have said, bring in Lewis Hamilton. And he could have given this expert testimony, and they would have said, actually, you were doing us all a favour. You're probably the safest driver on the road. have an honorary driving licence, and off you go.
Absolutely. And then get him a sponsorship deal with PlayStation.
Brilliant.
It's sorted. Right, next up is great news about... we've already said it's the most anticipated Spark game of the year, and that's Star Wars Battlefront. So great news about Star Wars Battlefront is that EA have confirmed that the Star Wars Battlefront beta will be available for all. So not only will it be available to all, so it's open to everyone on PlayStation, PC and Xbox One, it's also going to be available both on and offline as well. So the beta will include on and offline modes. It will include co-op, split-screen co-op, as well as a couple of levels as well. So we've got survival missions as well. So EA are really kind of just chucking everything into this beta to really stress test Star Wars Battlefront before we get it in November. So the beta is due to hit, I think it's early October. It's going to be coming out. And you will include a 40-player Walker Assault on Hoth, and also we get to play Drop Zone on Sullust as well. So we're getting 2 levels, a whole mode of modes, and as well as couch co-op and online as well. So we're really going to be given a lot to play around with, and a lot to wet people's whistles, or maybe just to say, okay, I've played it, I'm done. But I think once they get... I played this at Gamescom, and hopefully we're going to play it on Sunday. Oh, yeah. Once you start playing this, you just want it. You just think about how good this game is going to be constantly after you've played it.
I think for me, it never gets old. As I've spoken about on previous podcasts, I dusted my GameCube off just because I was so sort of dying for more Star Wars games, and I think Rogue Leader is probably one of the best examples of Death Star Run and the Hoth Battle. So it's still out. This was a few months ago. It's still out there, and it's just, I'm not going to put it away until this would be a reason, maybe, if Sam gives up on Mario Sunshine, to get rid of the GameCube again, because I'm quite happy to put that on and play Battle of Endor or Hoth and what have you. And it's interesting you said that people might think, oh wow, I've had enough, because that's a lot of content they're giving there. That's the 40-player Walker Assault. Is that what you said?
Yes, there is includes a 40-player Walker Assault.
How good is that? That could be the game for me. I'd buy that.
Well, absolutely. They could just have Star Wars Battlefront could just be that Hoth battle, and that's it. So I guess once they turn it off, once they turn the beta off, it's gonna. If you've jumped in and you continue to play it non-stop, you're going to want to download that or pre-order straight away.
Because once it stops, it's like you're really enjoying it, and all of a sudden it's like, oh well, the fun stops now because that's the end. You're just going to be like, well, sign me up.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
And it's quite interesting that we get to kind of play it. I mean, I've already chosen PlayStation 4 as my kind of Star Wars Battlefront console, but I'm also going to get to play on Xbox One as well, so I can kind of see what it's like on both consoles, and everybody can do that because it's if you have both consoles, it's open to just go for it.
That's really interesting, and it's I think it's very wise that they're doing it this way. They've done it with other betas where it's just free for everyone, and I think it's the best way forward. It's not about a pre-order law, and with a game like this, they don't need to worry about trying to convince people to get it. Not like Zone of Enders, where they put the Metal Gear Solid demo in. That was a bit of that was a little bit different than this. And it's great because even people that probably they just say no, I'm not going to get it. It's like me with Call of Duty. I jumped into that beta recently. I wasn't by no means a first day purchase for me. Though I did appreciate it, and it could have tempted me, and it's made me. It's there in my mind, though, so I might jump on, in the future. But I jumped on board and had a go anyway, and loads of people will, and that's the kind of stress test that you need. You work on that sort of stress, and then hopefully, fingers crossed, you're going to be fine when it comes out, aren't you?
Yes, absolutely. I guess the only thing that it's interesting because the beta is open to everybody, and it will just be, you'll probably see it on the store. It will probably be on the dashboard on the Xbox One. Someone will be play now for free. You'll just go, oh, I'll download that. But I guess what you have to be aware of is that it is a beta, because some people could go, oh, I played it. It was a little bit buggy. I couldn't get on. So I think we do just need to be aware that it's that, and it's not the final product. I should think it's in October when it's coming out in November. It's bloody close, but it's not the final product. And I'm definitely I'm going to make sure that I don't do any DIY those weekends when that's out. I'll clear my DIY schedule, which seems to be packed at the moment. But I'll get rid of that, and because I definitely want to spend a lot of time with this, and I can't wait for this game to come out in November.
Yeah. So what are the dates again, Anthony?
It didn't say. It just says the beta kicks off in early October.
Oh, okay. So it's still leaving it mystical for us all. But
absolutely. So it could be a week's time, because obviously October starts next week if you're listening to this when it's posted. So we haven't got long to wait.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, and I hope there's not a backlash about the beta, because that's what the beta's there for goodness sake. But the thing is, the combination of the passion for Star Wars coupled with EA. It's sort of a recipe for a bomb. So don't hate the beta. Let's give it a chance. That's what the beta's for, and only reserve judgment till it comes out properly. And even the reviews aren't going to be able to give it a proper review if it's an online game. So the reviews are going to be really based on under controlled conditions, aren't they? With just a press play in it, which will be very much less stressed than on release, so they won't be able to really account for the real release anyway. It's just going to give you an idea of the playability. There's no way that they're going to know what it's going to be like when it hits that release date at, let's say, 12 midnight on the night or the morning of release, or 12:01.
Yes.
So
I mean, I think a lot of the websites at the moment, because of things like this with like Destiny and other online games, a lot of them give review in progress. So they give a review and then they keep topping it up over time. And I think that's kind of what you'll need to do with something like Star Wars Battlefront.
Yeah, but I think you're the same as me here. I can speak for both of us that we've got faith in it. We're going to get it, and it's going to be great.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So next up, we've got an article that I was reading through from gamesindustry.biz, and it was about Michael Pachter, who's speculating that the console installed base that we have now across the world is as big as it's ever going to get. Now, for those that don't know, Michael Pachter, he's a video game, social media and electronics analyst with an investment firm called Wedbush Securities. I've seen his Pack Attack. and videos that he does, and he basically just speculates on what's going to happen. You know, he'll talk about, say, in the run-up to Xbox One and PS4, he'll talk about how he thinks it's going to affect the market, if it's going to take off, and he'll give predictions and speculations on where he thinks gaming's going. He's quite an interesting guy to listen to. And he's quite well known and renowned, you know, in the industry as well. So when he says something, people usually listen. So he's basically saying that he thinks that all the consoles that are around the world now, it's not really going to change much. It's like it's hit the wall. So he's given some quotes. One quote from speaking at DICE last week, DICE Europe. He was talking about this topic. Excuse me. And it's quite a provocative and divisive topic, depending, you know, where you're coming from. Some people just believe, well, there'll be another generation of consoles and more people are going to get into games and all that. So, you know, you can argue it either way, but this is his opinion anyway, not necessarily mine. So he said that this is the last real console cycle. I don't mean that Microsoft, Sony and Nintendo will go bankrupt and shut down. They will not. Each of them will make another console. Some people will buy them, and the next console cycle will be to this console cycle what the 3DS is to the DS. So the 3DS is selling about 15 million units a year. The DS had 5 consecutive years where it sold more than 26 million, so about half as big. So it continues to say, so when I say that this console cycle is the last console cycle, the reason is that console games shouldn't require a console. And I'm not talking about the cloud. Okay, so that's his quote. It's the only. There's a few more, and I'll put the link in the notes as well because it's quite an interesting read. But what he's getting at here, then, I think you've got to make a distinction between console and gaming. So he's not saying that gaming is going to get as big as it's ever going to get. He's simply talking about the way that games are consumed through consoles. So what he's saying is basically that at the rate that CPUs and GPUs are developing, we're all going to have that kind of technology in our homes without needing a console to play it, whether it be on a PC or even he's saying that you'll have it within an iteration of Apple TV or, you know, your Amazon set-top box, your Fire TV, you know, or something like that, or even integrated into your smart TV. So what he's getting at the fact that, yeah, there will be your PS5 or whatever, you know, and your Xbox or Xbox 2. You know, you're going to get these next generations. But he's saying that they're not going to be required as much to deliver these experiences as the technology becomes cheaper and easier to implement into existing things that everybody has. So he's saying that, so imagine, and he gives an example of, like, say, Call of Duty, and he's saying, so say Call of Duty has got 20 million people or sells 20 million copies on console, and he's saying, well, imagine what would happen if you didn't need a console to play it, but you could play it as good as that, but you don't need that console as the gate through. It's just something that's there on your TV. You know, you switch your console channel on or your gaming channel, and because you've got that technology there, you know, you've got your high-end NVIDIA chips, you've got a really high CPU built into whatever it's going to be. It could be a box, it could be your TV. He's just saying whatever because he's talking about, you know, technology advancing. And so you'll just switch it on and you can just get the game there and just play it on there. And he's saying, you know, if it sells that many on console, when people have to be dedicated and get a console, imagine how many more it's going to open it up to who maybe weren't bothered about a console, but if it's easy to get hold of, as, you know, changing channels on the telly or using Netflix, for instance, why not? He's estimating that there'd be his guess is that there'd be 20 million more people that would get involved. So he's saying it could double the amount of gaming. So, yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. It's not about gaming getting as big as it's going to get. If anything, he's saying that gaming is going to just go through the roof. But the way that the conduit that we game through, he's saying that it probably won't be so much through the consoles, but that gaming will open up. And he says that it's very much in the interest of the publishers as well, which makes sense because he says, for instance, they could get the revenue that at the moment, if you go through a console, you pay your PSN subscription or your Xbox Live subscription, and me and you, we pay both, and we don't care because we love it. You know, it's it's value for money, isn't it? You know, I never ever grumble about that. But he's just saying that if there wasn't, you've got those paying channels where the majority of that cash goes to, and rightly so, you know, Microsoft or Sony, because they're providing that platform and that infrastructure for you. But this could take them out of that. Obviously, though, you'll still be able to go that way if you want. But if it's just open through whatever, whatever you're using, it's sort of like open, a bit like a PC thing. You've just got this great big gaming network out there, but it's not controlled by Sony or Microsoft, whoever. It's just like, I don't know. So it's like your Call of Duty subscription, for instance.
Yes.
And then it would go to Activision, and maybe they'd get more money, so there'd be better games. So he's basically saying that he sees a dwindling in consoles. I mean, they talked about this sort of gaming as a service before. People have used Citrix and technologies like that for work. It's like that, or like Gaku, that Sony bought. That's sort of the back end of PlayStation now.
Yeah, absolutely. It's very interesting because I thought, I've been thinking for a long time about FIFA isn't a subscription service, because every year they come out with a new game. You could just buy into FIFA, because I happily pay for Netflix. I pay for Amazon Prime, which gives me a lot. It's quite funny. I got my Amazon Prime subscription renewal email the other day, and it's an instant click for me, because you're getting, not only do you get great delivery and delivery really quick and free, but I also get Amazon Music, Amazon Prime TV, 4K content. I get all of that, so it's kind of a no-brainer. So you could imagine if this is right, this is kind of how the industry's going. You can imagine, like you say, turning on your Apple TV or your smart TV, and then maybe you would just have like an Activision subscription service, or it would even go, and then each one of those would be a Netflix for gaming. So you would have a Microsoft one, and there you would just have iteration after iteration of game.
Yeah, and it's platformless, but games full. Do you know what I mean? So there's no restriction of platforms. You just get the best version of the game for everybody. And he says this is quite a good quote. He says there's plenty of 30 or 40 somethings, and this is difficult for me to sort of understand, being like we're so into games. But there are a lot of people like this that you meet every day. There's plenty of 30 or 40 somethings that would love to play FIFA or Call of Duty, but they can't. They're not going to buy these guys. For whatever reason, they wouldn't mind, but they can't be bothered, either for financially or just because they think it's a bit too, kiddie or whatever. They're not going to buy a console for one game just to be able to do it. They'd like to get involved, but they think, £400 and all that, it doesn't matter, sort of thing. But there's a market of probably several million people who would never buy a console but would absolutely love to play the games. And when you put it like that, it's a fair point, isn't it? We're so into our games that we buying the console as much of a rush as it is. You're buying the gateway into the games, aren't you? So I wonder what we would do. It'd test our loyalties and things. It would test PlayStation and Microsoft and Nintendo to. Well, the only way forward for them would be to be able to deliver out of the console a better experience. But he's saying that would not happen. So it's just interesting, isn't it?
It really is. I mean, I guess Microsoft, Nintendo, and Sony have one thing. They have those exclusives, and if they can keep those exclusives, they can bring out as many boxes as they want. I always thought that we would see at least one more console before those kind of predictions started to come true. I think we're going to see a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox 2. I do think we're going to see those before that becomes available, because you're looking at, they are still quite meaty machines, and you can't really get those yet you wouldn't be able to get that into a TV, but it does really blow my mind when you start to think about that, and whether I could play something like an Xbox controller, I could play that across all of my games, so I could play it, because that's the most comfortable controller for me. I could play Nintendo games, I could play Sony games on using that one universal kind of controller. It's an interesting. I've always kind of listened to kind of what he said. Some of it you just think, he's just making this up. But he's obviously a smart guy, because he does this for a living, and he does, it's not only gaming predictions he does other stuff as well. So, but it's a very interesting statistic, and it's definitely something that I can't wait to kind of see what happens and see what unfolds.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a great advocate for the game selling the console. And it's what it's always been about with me. With Wipeout on the PS1, with Call of Duty 2, I think it was, on Xbox 360. Might have been Uncharted for me on PS3, but there's always been a key game, Legend of Zelda. Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64. I could go on. And it's always been about that. But I'll tell you something, the launch of the current generation has been the first generation when there hasn't been that game for me that made me get the console. It was more about me settling for the console that had the game that was nearest to what I wanted, that would give me that feeling, and that was why I went with Xbox One, because it had Rise, and I thought out of the choices, Killzone, I wanted a PS4, but Killzone for me was too much like what I played before, and for me Rise was more different, and it just had something there that I felt showed the best of the current generation, so that's what swayed me. It was the game that swayed me, and this is where I think, well, if it carries on like this, with the next two consoles or whatever that come out, it'll just be like, well, there'll be. I just hope that doesn't carry on that trend, because I'll be struggling even more to find a reason, apart from the promise of great things to come. For instance, and we had a bit of a wait, didn't we? We had a bit of a wait, so you're buying it on good faith. So we'll see what happens, but he's not always right, as you say. He says some interesting things. For instance, he said that. What was the thing that he predicted now? He predicted that Blockbuster video would ruin Netflix, for instance. So his prediction was, Netflix is a flash in the pan. It'll be Blockbuster that wins out in that fight, and we all know what happened there. So it's all speculation. It doesn't mean it's going to happen. But like you say, he does this for a living, and some of the stuff he says, he's got some pretty salient points, and it's just good that he brings this sort of thing up for debate. And time will tell, as it always will. But it's an interesting future, and I don't know, I like the idea of it in some ways, but in another way, it's a bit probably like my phone, getting used to having that phone there, my landline. It's sort of always been there, so it'd feel strangely empty without having your console. But that's just that's just not adapting to change very well, I suppose.
Absolutely. I've said time and time again on this podcast, that I'm giving up physical media, and I think Blu-rays, just because of 3D, is the kind of last kind of physical media that I do still pre-order on Amazon. But most of my games now are digital, so I'm kind of going that way. But I still quite like the idea of that box under the TV. But it's locked away in an AV cabinet for me, so I'm not even seeing it, so it doesn't really matter. For me, I've got, there's a cupboard, the doors are ajar, I don't really see the Xbox. It's not like it's out there like it used to be. And when I had Xbox 360 and it was the black one, and I used to have them all kind of in a really nice AV cabinet, and you could see them all the time, and they looked quite nice, and I was quite proud of them. But now they're just all kind of shut away, so really I'm just playing a controller to nothing. And I guess with the event of cordless controllers, you're not connected to that anymore, so I could that could all be the guts of my TV, or some tiny little Apple TV or Fire TV. It's an interesting.
It's just a means to an end. I tell you where it will suffer for me if it does happen like this, and I'm not saying that I don't want it to happen, because as long as games get better, I'm happy. I'm not loyal to it's not that I'm not loyal to. I'm loyal to everybody. It's not that I'm just not concentrated on one platform. It's Christmas morning that it'll ruin. Because if a new console comes out and it's round about Christmas time, I'll save it, and then it'll be on Christmas morning that I rip open the box, and a console Christmas is the best Christmas.
You're adorable, really, aren't you?
Don't you agree, though?
No, I do.
Console Christmas is the best Christmas ever, and it won't be a thing anymore, and that saddens me. I don't know what I'm going to do, because that's what the coinciding of Christmas with a console event or something of that ilk. That's what I look forward to most in the world, because I love Christmas so much and gaming so much, and combining the two is so amazing, and that will slip away. Yeah. So there you go. Yeah.
That's a future, just a sad Darren on Christmas morning.
Yeah. That's the Ghost of Christmas future for you, that.
Yeah, the Ghost of Christmas future is Michael Pachter going to tell you that you've got nothing to play with, a little
He's
boy.
got that big Grim Reaper robe on. And he opens up his robe, and instead of the two kids underneath, he's got like two consoles all covered in cobwebs, and he's like, yes. And then there's a gravestone, and it just
he's got Phil Spencer and Shuhei Yoshida on there, all wrinkled. Yeah, that's what it's got.
In the graveyard, and in the graveyard there's all the consoles of Christmases past, all there, right from the Atari 2600 all the way up to the present day.
Superb. Right, the next news is that South African retailer. Is it? Are you? They have spoiled something potentially again. So these guys, they were the ones that spoiled the surprise that all of those amiibos earlier in the year. They have leaked again. They have leaked. I think it's more of a thing to get a little bit of promotion because no one cares about them. But they have leaked that BioShock, the collection, could be coming for PS4 and Xbox One. So they had a temporary leak that has now been taken down, but it said that there was a BioShock collection coming for PS4, Xbox One on November 27th was the release date. So that's quite an interesting one. I mean, obviously, my mind instantly went to 1080p, 60 frames a second, all 3 BioShock games. Amazing. I would, new achievements, I would play these. I mean, I loved BioShock, and I think it was kind of, all 3 games were just amazing. 2 was a little bit iffy, but all 3 games, in the sum of their parts, were fantastic. And if a tarted up, kind of smooth frame rate game came out, it would just be incredible. And if you've never played them before and you see this collection, it would be the perfect way to get into these games.
Yeah, absolutely. How does this place get away with it? How can you repeatedly, ruin things and spoil things?
I don't know. The 2 people that do it is this kind of South African side, and also Amazon France as well. They've spoiled so many things, haven't they? Like PS4, the Vita, I think Kinect as well. They always they jump the gun. They're eager. They've got the pages ready to go. Once because they've all been tipped up, obviously, and they know what they need to do and when they need to do it. But they all just kind of jump the gun a little bit too soon.
Yeah. A great collection. I wouldn't probably go through them again. Even BioShock Infinite, I wouldn't go through again. But yeah, as I always say, you know how I feel about it. It's brilliant though for people that haven't played them to go through them again. So yeah, it's a cool collection. They are classic games.
It really is.
I skipped 2. I skipped on.
Did you? Wow. No, 2 was worthwhile. There were some really great little twists and stuff. I mean, I remember the original BioShock. It came out, I think, about the same time as Arkham Asylum. And I remember kind of playing the starter BioShock, was completely addicted to it. And then Arkham Asylum came out. And as we know, I'm a huge Batman fan. So for me, that was like, I jumped over onto that and forgot about BioShock. And then I finished Arkham Asylum. And then I started going back into BioShock. And I was addicted to that game. I could not stop playing it. It used to freak Nicola out, when she would see when you had the kind of little sisters and things like that. When they do when you're kind of saving them. It used to freak her out every now and then on the big screen. You'd suddenly see this kind of weird face. But I loved all those games. They were fantastic.
Wow. So you loved BioShock Infinite then?
I do indeed, yeah, I did. I really enjoyed BioShock Infinite.
Yeah.
I thought it was a great game.
I loved that game so much, and the ending, I was just like, wow. I mean, a proper whoa sort of thing. Like going on the internet and seeing if what I thought happened, seeing if the internet sort of agreed with me, because I was just like, flipping out, man, that's a bit deep. I was thinking it's very, very cool. I loved it. And BioShock 1 I loved as well. In fact, the trailer for BioShock 1, do you remember with the Big Daddy, and what was the name for the little girls?
Little Sisters.
The little sister. And the way that was done, it was so sort of gruesome and scary. I found it really eerie. And you thought, oh no, this is really terrible on the little sister. And then it sort of turned it on its head when you played the game and you understood what the trailer was about. But that trailer was one of my favourite trailers of all time. Absolutely loved it. And the way that it came out with sort of, when I saw that trailer, I had no idea about the game at all. And that was part of it for me. It was fantastic. So yeah, but I think I was playing something else, and I just had to try to do a very quick search of what was out at the same time as BioShock 2. Now, to do a quick search on Google that gives me that information, either is quite difficult, or I'm just typing the wrong thing, but I couldn't think a great search criteria to give me that quick. So I think I was playing something else. It puts me in mind of Blue Dragon, but Blue Dragon, I really gave a go, but I decided that was rubbish and I never completed it either. But I don't know why, but that period of time, I sort of, times in my life, I always sort of pair with games, It's strange. You'll mention a year or, a bit like music, and I'll be like, oh yeah, Like another thing with Blue Dragon, my dad was tiling my shower. I remember that because I was sat playing Blue Dragon while he was doing it because I'm not very handy. But
how bizarre is that? That's just like every time you see that game, you just want to thank your dad for tiling your shower.
Yeah, absolutely. And Jet Set Radio, I remember Jet Set Radio. I was at my flat in Wimbledon, and I just had a promotion at work, and I was playing Jet Set Radio, so that always reminds me of that. There's loads of them, man. You can mention a game, and I'll be like, yeah, I was doing that. Bit like, a bit like Shot Kennedy sort of thing. You know, it's like you say a game, and I'm like, I was there. That's what I was doing. That's what I was doing when that game was out. If I was playing it, there's usually something that was going on, and I'm like, yeah, I did that then.
Fantastic, cool. Fantastic. No, I remember the very first time when I was playing BioShock. When you saw the Big Daddy things, kind of the very first time you saw that was just it was terrifying.
It was terrifying. Yeah.
I remember seeing it and just thinking, how am I ever going to take that out? I was thinking, how am I going to do it? And I remember playing BioShock. There was a few times playing BioShock where I just ran out of ammo. I had nothing. And there was times where I didn't do it stealthily because I know you could do the game. You could do the game stealthily. I think you could do it without hurting anyone.
It was sort of open-ended, wasn't it? The way you could approach it.
Yeah, it was. And I just remember just kind of creeping around because I had no ammo and I couldn't get to a vending machine. And oh god, it was such a great game. I mean, if this does actually come out on November 27th and anyone hasn't played BioShock, maybe the PS4 is your first console, you skip last generation, it's definitely worthwhile getting. It will scare the pants off of you.
I wonder if BioShock took a bit of inspiration from Fallout, like the sort of the Pit Boy and that, the sort of comedic way that it explains the weapons and things like that. I wonder if
it's very Fallout,
and it delivered it, didn't it? But more in an Art Deco sort of comic way. But it did to Art Deco maybe what Fallout did to the 50s sort of thing. And I'm thinking the Fallout universe existed before BioShock, so I wonder if they just liked that delivery because they did it. They sort of explained gruesome death in a light-hearted way.
Yes, absolutely. And and it's just such a shame that Ken Levine has left that studio, and we potentially won't get any more BioShock, because I thought after we saw BioShock Infinite, I thought we would actually get more and more BioShocks just in kind of different timelines or different alternate realities. I thought that's what we were getting to, but I really enjoyed the last one. I thought the last one was fantastic, but I never played any of the DLC.
I didn't, don't you?
No, absolutely. But one of them actually, well, that's a given. But one of them had a continued storyline, didn't they? There was one that was pretty much horde mode, and then there was the other one that had it was a 2-part story.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it sort of added onto the quest, didn't it? And you found out more about the characters. Is it Elizabeth?
Yes.
I really like that character so much. I loved it. I loved that game so much. Remember, I mean, it was on the trailers, so we sort of knew about it already. But when time split and you sort of went into our dimension in the 80s, and they had sort of was it Return of the Jedi on? But it was the working title of it or something. It was a slightly different title, and then it came back is when she held that tear open, and it's just like, wow, what a game!
Yes.
What a game!
Yes,
love it.
I just remember every time I finished playing that game, just kind of sitting back and just being blown away by it. It was literally just there, it was blowing me away every time I finished a gaming session with that game, and I just you kind of didn't want it to end. I thought that the Infinite would just be it just would never end.
Yeah, and the Infinite at the end where you're seeing all these possibilities and alternative dimensions, and like you say, that could have been licensed for game after game after game after game. In a way, maybe it's a blessing, because I hate it when things get milked too much. Like I'm starting to think Bloodborne is. So sometimes things are best left on a high, aren't they? So there we are. So next up is a news story of Microsoft following in Nintendo's footsteps in maybe an alternative amiibo kind of thing.
Please let this be true. Please let this be true.
I think it is true, I think it is. And it's sort of my patent corner once again. So you'll have to excuse the vagueness, but there's a website called segmentnext.com, and I'll stick this in the notes as well. And what it's saying, I'm just writing that down very quickly. So MS Amiibo.
It's a great find. It's a great find because I don't know where you find these. You obviously trawl the dark corners of the internet for these patent stories. But I quite like it because I didn't know anything about this. So school me, Darren. School me.
I love it when you don't know. But yeah, so we all know what Amiibos are. And so Microsoft has filed a patent for a new product, and what this is, it's a device which is looking like a wearable bracelet that can be used for gaming applications and experiences, which are going to be a little bit like Disney Infinity Skylanders and Nintendo Amiibo. So the patent describes a fashion item which comprises 2 or more smart beads on a connecting element, which is, e.g., a bracelet. The user, who can alternatively be referred to as a wearer, so you're not just users now, guys, you can be a wearer if you're wearing tech, and you can add, remove and rearrange the beads on the bracelet, or what they call the connecting element. Each bead is going to be arranged to store both an ID for the bead and data relating to the bead. So each bead is going to, or could, or is rumoured to, represent a character, environment, or an object, or something like that. And the software experience will display an animated story based on what's in the bead. So whether that's character, environment, object, or a mixture of them all. And another interesting thing here is that the patent also mentions, as well as the bracelet and the beads unlocking stuff or adding stuff in the software, there's also going to be physical character toys. This is the bit. Yeah, there you go.
I know. Because before I sounded like a little girl with a beady bracelet.
I was reading this right, and I was thinking, this sounds demon. And then I was like, what's this nonsense? I don't want to wear. I don't want to wear a bracelet. My wrists are too thin.
I'm just sitting there thinking, if it's got Viva Pinata, I'll wear it. I can work it.
Yeah, they're doing it on purpose for you. It's like, it's a pink bracelet with horstachio on it, but you got to get it. They've just devised it to ruin you. or me.
I'm just trying to justify it here to my head. Yeah, I'll wear that. It's okay. I can hide it behind my watch. I'll be
a pink
fine.
one with Cortana on, and I'm like, believe me, I tried my mate. My mate wears loads of gold. And he's got these gold like chains on his wrists, and he looks all right on him. And I tried one on, and I just instantly looked. Ridiculous is an understatement. So I don't know if this is going to be for me. I can't even get the watch I want because I tried it on, and I just, as much as I've always wanted this kind of watch, and I tried it on, and I was ready to spend a heck of a lot of cash. And I just looked at myself. It didn't matter what the guy in the shop's like, oh, it looks brilliant. And I just looked at my wrist, looked at myself in the mirror, and looked at Claire, and I was like, I can't wear a watch. I just look like an idiot. And it was really bad. So, yeah, but as well as the bracelet, it's physical character toys, which leaves this website segment next to believe that they're going to use a figurine as well as a bracelet to interact. So that'll be really good. So gameplay this is a quote from the patent, gameplay is enabled or unlocked through the use of physical character toys which are placed on a custom base connected to a game's console. So yeah, it looks like you've got your bracelet, which is going to could be save aspects, or maybe be a conduit between the game, the figure and the game. You know, something like that. I don't know how it's going to be read.
Yeah.
So you're going to have this combination of bracelet with, it might be like a Pandora bracelet, but a gaming one.
Pokemon Go. Have you seen the new Pokemon Go that was released at TGS?
Yeah.
Where you can just go wherever you are in the world, and if you come across another one, then your smart device, like a iPhone, Android, then turns into a Pokemon battle.
Yeah, that'd be cool. They've got a caveat at the end of this article, though. It always brings me down to earth, things like this. Keep in mind that Microsoft files patents for several products that never make it to the market, so we can't be sure this product will ever see the light of day. A bit like the, what was it called? The HoloRoom.
Yes.
Was it HoloRoom?
Illuma Room.
I'm getting mixed up with HoloLens. Yeah, the Illumi Room, for instance, but that wasn't really practically reachable for many people to buy like 20 projectors. But it's interesting.
I would just say now, if Microsoft do this, they will have all of my money. You know, you imagine Rare bringing out 30 years of these figures, you know, and I'm not just talking, they could just literally do every single Viva Pinata character, and I would buy them.
Rare kind of missed the trick, because Rare could just do this. You know, they've got enough behind them. They could just bring out their own range, and look at the way that Replay is sold. It'd be fantastic. I'd love to get on board with that. Don't use manufactured scarcity as a way of upping prices. Just get it out there. I would love a shelf with the evolution of Rare in figures. That'd be fantastic.
Yes. Absolutely, you start with like kind of the Night Law and Attic Attack, those kind of figures, similar to the intro to Rare.
Yeah, they could be like the 8-bit Mario, in pixel, not in like sort of as if they were humanised, but actually done in pixel. Wow, that'd be well cool.
Yeah, Banjo, Conker, there was Viva Pinata figures that came out. I believe there might have even been like Happy Meals in McDonald's or something like that, where you could get, and I was just, they were just, and then you've got Halo, then you've got Blinks the Cat, then you've got Gears of War. It's endless. It would be a grown-up amiibo, but then most people are buying amiibos of people our age anyway.
Yeah.
Let's face it. It's just like, I bought my nephew the Yoshi's Woolly World nephew for his birthday, the Woolly World amiibo, and he loved that. But I've got one as well. And it's just, oh god, I'd love that. I'd love rare amiibos or
just grown-up amiibos.
Just
even PlayStation did it. I'd love a Cortana amiibo. I'd love an Elizabeth from Bioshock amiibo. I'd love Shadow of the Colossus amiibos. I'm going back a bit there, but a Snake amiibo. Oh man, a quiet amiibo. Maybe if she had some clothes on, so it was a bit more tasteful. You certainly couldn't have that on your desk at work. It's just the possibilities are endless. Because Nintendo's actually quite restricted because they haven't got that many IPs.
Yeah, if Microsoft did this, you wouldn't be able to see my desk because it would just be a wash.
Maybe they're not going to do it because the shops. Because I talked to a guy in a computer shop once about amiibos. I said, "Oh yeah, they're really good at it, aren't they?" And he was like, "Yeah, you think so?" I said, "Why? What's the problem?" He said, "They take up loads of space." He says because of the way that they're packaged and everything. He says they take up a lot of space in the shop. But we've got to, sell them and stuff. And I'd never thought of it like that. So maybe the game sellers have revolted and said, no, there won't be room for any of the games if we have all these blooming figures everywhere. But
no more. It's quite interesting when you go into game in probably any game, but the game in Tunbridge Wells, you go into it and the middle section of that shop, which is quite a large shop, but the middle section of that shop is all Toys to Life figures. The games, the PlayStation and Xbox games are all just kind of shoved to the walls at the side, but as you go in, it's Amiibo, Skylanders and Disney Infinity is in your face straight away. And you're right, they do take up quite a lot of room.
And actually, I was just thinking then, we were talking about getting rid of physical media and the NX probably coming out without an optical drive, etc. How about this then? Okay, so you no longer buy the discs, but when you buy a game, you get the game inside the character. So Halo 5, for instance, you'd have a choice. It'd come out first with a choice of Cortana, Locke, or Master Chief, and you buy the figure. And you come home, and that figure's got the code or whatever, and that downloads the game. That would be pretty cool.
Pretty smart. Yeah.
Do you like that?
I do indeed. I
think that could be really cool, because then you've still got your retailer's still in on it for whatever reason. You still get it online, but I like that. And then you still don't have to get off your arse and put a disc in and change it, but you have got something for your purchase that's physical, and that could be that's like a record of your games over time. So you'd get the character from Bloodborne, because I bought Bloodborne. I didn't get the special edition, but I'd have the main protagonist, or whichever one I chose. If you got a special edition, you get one of the boss or something. And so you've got that there. For The Witcher, I've got Geralt. So I haven't got a row of discs, but I've got a row of figurines, and those figurines contain the data for the game, or not all of it, but the key to the game. That's well cool. I like that idea.
That's really good. You imagine seeing Master Chief evolving through the years on your shelf. That would just
like when you see those infographics of him from all the Halos, and you see him, and you could have them all on a shelf, and you've bought them all. People wouldn't want to trade that in. Well, you wouldn't be able to because it'd be a digital purchase. But that's cool, man. That'd be so good. I hope Nintendo are going to do that, and everybody else follows on.
Yeah. There you go. If anyone wants to hire the Sparks for a think tank,
imagine Star Wars, man. You could get a little snow speeder or something.
Well, you're already kind of getting that with Disney Infinity, aren't you? I'm soon to get Han Solo, Boba Fett. These are. Okay, they're a little bit comic stylized, but they're fantastic. I love those Disney Infinity figures. And I can't wait to get Han, Chewie. I will just be having those two kind of sat on my kind of coffee table whilst I'm gaming, and one of them on the portal. It makes me feel like a big kid, but I love it.
That is cool. That is well cool, man. But that doesn't do it for me as much as if there was just a complete transition to it for everything. See, I'm all or nothing, me.
You're like, this Infinity doesn't cut it anymore.
If they won't do it
because
for
the thing you've made up in your head is so much better.
It is, and the Disney Infinity can still totally exist in that universe, except it won't include a disc. It just, let's just Toys to Life everything.
So you've gone from going, it's a bit of a gimmick, to let's just do everything.
I'm completely converted. I'm a bit wishy-washy, me.
You're gonna go buy Lego Dimensions now, and you'll be upset because the game doesn't download directly.
Yeah. No, I won't go that far. But what's like the next game on my list apart from Battlefront? I don't know. Yeah, like Rise of the Tomb Raider, for instance.
Yes,
I'd love to just be buying a Lara figure instead of a disc.
Yeah,
it'd be so cool, man. It'd be so cool. And my gaming shelf, I just think it looks archaic with a row of boxes now. But if it was a shelf with a row of figures, and as you say, evolutions, because you could stack them behind, like your Master Chief, like Halo 5 would be at the front, and then you could go back, and do you know what I mean? Oh, it's just so cool. You could have a Perspex case. Oh, I'm getting too excited.
Yeah, you'd have to put them in a person. I've learnt that all of the figures that I have, that I've got a couple of closed cabinets because they're a bugger to polish.
Yeah.
So I've got like closed cabinets, and they're all kind of locked behind glass because I've got some really cool Katabayuki figures that I've kind of bought over Christmas and over Christmases, like kind of Darth Vader, Stormtroopers, a Boba Fett. R2-D2 and C-3PO, but also back in the day I used to collect Kevin Smith in action figures, and they were like figures from all of the movies in kind of a if anyone saw the Clerks cartoon, they were in that style.
Yeah, I love that.
And that was there. They were just fantastic. I loved getting those through the post. Whenever they were there, I went and bought them straight away. And I've got like every single Kevin Smith movie in these in action figures, and I still have them on a shelf because they're really cool. They look fantastic.
Wow. It's a gaming utopia.
Absolutely.
Have you got lights in your cabinets?
No, but I'm just about to have the office redone, and one of the things I'm going to do is put some lighting in there because they're like IKEA cabinets that we've just changed slightly. We've modded them slightly, and we can definitely put lights in there for them.
Oh.
But where they are, they currently don't have a power lead over there. But when we redesign, literally the floor is being ripped up, so I can put power wherever I want, and where I'm going to put power where those cabinets are.
Wow, I love that idea so much, man. And because of the diversity of games, imagine that historical chronicle of figures that you'd have, and imagine the young guys that are just starting gaming, and when it already happened, there's a lot of hypothesis here, but then imagine that just display that you'd have, and the diversity. You could have a skateboarder for Tony Hawk's. You've got a Katamari, you've got sort of serious stuff. You've got cartoony stuff. You've got cel shaded stuff.
Yeah, imagine Borderlands with a claptrap.
Yeah,
just amazing.
Cool.
All those Telltale games. All those Telltale games. They would just be in that kind of Telltale kind of cel shaded. You're awesome. Like a little. I can't remember what the girl's name was from The Walking Dead. I can't believe I blanked completely on that. But you just imagine having that. That would just be amazing.
Yeah, sweet moments like that, like Ares from Final Fantasy VII. Oh man. The possibilities, I can just see it in front of me. It looks so good with all these figures, and each one reminding you of the time in your life when you were playing it and all the rest of it. Oh, it's cool, isn't it?
Fantastic. Her name was Clementine. For those people shouting at their iPhones or iPods or other devices, her name was Clementine. That was it. Yeah, that would just be fantastic. Little backpack. God, lovely. Right, from the imaginary. Amazing imaginary, I like your brain, to reality, and that is Arkham Knight. So far, potentially my game of the year, just because I've had so much fun with it and still talk about it with some guys that are still kind of playing it. I'm still talking about it kind of on a weekly basis with people. Now, I bought the season pass, as we know, and there's more content that's coming out as part of that season pass. So yesterday we got the Dark Knight, the Chris Nolan Dark Knight Tumbler. So we got that as a playable Batmobile. I haven't played it yet, but by all accounts, it's looking amazing and does all of the things that the Arkham Knight Batmobile does as well, such as the bullets and you don't have to switch depending on missions. So we got that. We've also got some more DLC coming along as well this month. So we also have Nightwing in the GCPD lockdown. So that's another one of those kind of side missions. So that's all coming in September, as well as maybe some other AR challenges as well. But then they've also announced, Rocksteady announced that we've got Octobers as well. So in October, we've now got a Catwoman level. So we're going to have a Catwoman. It's called Catwoman's Revenge, and this takes place after the events of Arkham Knight, so which is fantastic. So anyone who's played that kind of will understand what a Catwoman's storyline is, and she's seeking revenge. We've also got, which I think is fantastic, is the classic 1966 Bill Dozier Batman. We have the Batmobile. We've got the classic Batmobile, and also there's going to be a Catwoman skin and a Robin skin as well, and also some racetracks that are inspired by the 1966 Batman as well. So that kind of makes me grin big time. Hopefully there'll be maybe some shark repellent spray. There'll be some of that. We've also got some more Crime Fighter challenge packs as well, where we can play as Batman, Nightwing, Robin, Azrael. We can do all of that. And finally, if that wasn't enough, they've also hinted that they are going to be doing the Chris Nolan Dark Knight Batman outfit as well. It is going to be coming in maybe October or November as part of the season pass as well.
Wow. So quite a lot of content there.
Catwoman story pack. The AR challenges I'm not really kind of super into, but definitely those, jump into those events. Definitely play those for a couple of hours. The Batgirl one was very good. I played the Red Hood and also Harlequin, and both of those were just 25 minutes of kind of dip in one level, you're done. But Batgirl and Catwoman and also this Nightwing one seems to be a little bit longer.
Wow. Okay. Well, that is a lot of content. And
it's still going. We've still got months. We've still got another 2 months. So I think it's going to take us all the way up to December.
So after December, then the season pass runs out.
That's it.
I wonder what they'll do after that. I wonder if they'll do another season pass or whether that'll just be it.
I really don't know. That would be really interesting to see if they almost do like a Destiny 2.0 with it and bring out some extra stuff, or whether they just, that's it, they're done.
Yeah,
they move on to the next one.
I still give you every credit, because this has got to be, from my point of view, your game of the year, because so far, it's been the one you've been most invested in. You've put so much time in it. For a game of its size and its average playthrough time, it's like a lot shorter than something like The Witcher, but you played it for a lot longer than I played The Witcher, and I just think that just speaks volumes about it. You love that game. So it'll be. I think it's going to be tough for any other game to knock it off its perch. I mean, maybe Star Wars will do it, but I don't know, because Batman sucks you in because it's a story-based game, whereas Star Wars, it's going to be a bit more pick up and play and stuff. So for just getting you hooked, I think for you, Arkham Knight, it's going to take some doing to knock that off the number one, if it is indeed your number one game.
Absolutely, and it's worthwhile noting as well that if you've got Arkham Knight on PlayStation 4, then there currently is this week, and we're recording this on the 23rd of September, but there's a deal happening this week on the PlayStation Network where you can get the Season Pass cheap. So they've actually they've taken some cash off it. I think it was, for UK, I've only got UK prices, but it was $32.99 on the PlayStation Network, and it's now £20. So they're taking a good kind of £12, £13 off of it. So it's a bargain, because you would then get a whole wash of content straight away if you bought it.
Yeah, it is an absolute bargain. It tempted me. I've seen some cheap prices of it, and I've been tempted, and I must admit I'd probably dive in. And the same, I think you've converted me with Destiny. It's just that with the games that I've chosen, they're just keeping me too busy.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I think you're right, the amount of enjoyment that I've had, I've never had there's never been a slog with Batman for me. It has to be kind of up there as a contender for it. There's other games that have made me, equally as happy, but this one I have just been totally invested in and played, as it stands, I've played more Batman Then I had Metal Gear Solid. At this time, the first couple of weeks of Batman, I played nothing but Metal Gear Solid comes out, and I'm finding myself playing Forza and Destiny. I don't know if that's because I've got too many distractions. And as you called me last week, I am a bit of a gaming butterfly, so I'm just flitting all over the place. Or it's just because there was nothing quite like Batman to really kind of grab me.
Well, that's the thing, and I think I might be going through this sort of loving with MGS5 at the moment, because I don't know. I've seen some arguments that it might be a bit samey, and I suppose you can break. Well, then again, I think you can break anything down. Say it's a bit samey. I mean, you can say GTA's just follow the waypoint, for instance. But so I'm going to dismiss that. But it's just that it's more than the sum of its parts. It's more than just completing the missions for me at the moment. It's the sheer joy and pleasure in the controlling of the character and everything, and the controlling of that character in the environment that I'm given. I just love it. I love the feeling of when I tilt that left stick forward and he runs, that connection. There's something about the fluidity and just the playability of this game. It just knocks me for six. It's a joy to just the most mundane task in this game. I enjoy in spades. I love it. I can be, hunkered down behind a rock, waiting, just watching and marking guards and stuff and having a think in the game, or just going in the menus and sorting out my staff and things like that. And every single thing about it I enjoy doing. There's even in the mundanity, there's beauty and joy for me in it. And I think that's what you had with Arkham Knight, that you just loved every aspect of playing it. It didn't matter if you were... It doesn't matter about the completion, it's the journey that counts.
Yes, I find that that you're playing a good game in a game that's clicking with you when you're kind of playing it maybe on a Friday or Saturday night, and then the next time you look at your watch, it's kind of 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. And I find that is when I know that I've been sucked into a game. Forza did it to me this week. I was playing Forza on Saturday night, and then I looked at my watch and it was 1:30. And it was just like, wow. Where did that time go? And B, it's just really, it has clicked with me, and I think that's it. And I think that is the sign, as you say, that is the sign of that great game.
Yeah, absolutely. So the next piece of news is with my good self, and this is about Naughty Dog. So there's been some speculation going out onto the internet and on Twitter that Naughty Dog had ideas for The Last of Us 2 with new characters. So this is from a quote they made. That sent the internet wild, and they said in the official PlayStation magazine, in the latest issue, they said the words "the first Last of Us." So that sent the internet wild, saying, "Oh well, if that's the first Last of Us, there must be a second one! Hooray!" So Games Radar Games Radar spoke to the Last of Us creative director Neil Druckmann, and just tried to get the inside word on this. So he basically said, well, first of all, they talked about Nolan North saying early in the year that there was definitely a sequel, and we mentioned that on the cast. Loose lips, sink ships sort of thing from Nolan North, swaggering around some party after a few bevies. And he said a few things, and he said basically from that, it was as much of a surprise for us for him to say that. And their opinion was sort of like, oh, well, he knows more than we know about what we're doing next, apparently. But that's a good answer. And getting back to the question in hand about Last of Us 2, he said that the answer is, and he said this is totally honest. They do say sometimes that if people start things off with this is totally honest, that it's probably going to be a lie, but this is the quote anyway. He said this in the past apparently as well, that when himself and Bruce Straley moved over to Uncharted 4, they were brainstorming ideas for The Last of Us 2 with new characters, ideas for The Last of Us 2 with Joel and Ellie, ideas for a sci-fi game and a fantasy game, and building prototypes for each one of these ideas. And they were just getting close to narrowing that list down when, boom, they were asked to work on Uncharted 4. So that's what happened. And really, that's kind of obvious, isn't it, when you think about it? They've finished The Last of Us 2. They've just finished The Last of Us. That's being a hit. Of course they're going to be planning The Last of Us 2, and having other ideas for the next game. I mean, this is a game studio that we're talking about. So it stands to reason that they would be talking about these ideas. And then all of a sudden Uncharted 4 came along, and that's what they're working on. For me, I'm glad that that Uncharted 4 came along, because I'm thinking if I had a choice back in the day and they said, what would you want to come out in, say, March 2016, Last of Us 2 or Uncharted 4, I would say Uncharted 4, because I prefer it. But I loved The Last of Us as well. It's just that I like a bit more action, so I love the set pieces in Uncharted. So the upshot of it is that, yeah, they were talking about Last of Us 2, but that's just common sense, in my opinion, anyway. So they were talking about it, Uncharted came along, and they're working on that. Who knows about the future? So all it means to me is that when Uncharted 4's out, they'll be back in that place, won't they? They'll be saying, right, well, we've got the sci-fi game, we've got the fantasy game, or should we do The Last of Us 2? And they'll go from there. And I suppose it will just depend on the influences from Sony and demand from the people as to which direction they go in. Judging by the interest that they've got from this little soundbite of just saying the first Last of Us, on the internet going wild, they can gauge the interest there, and so that might point them in the direction of doing The Last of Us 2. I don't know if the studio, Naughty Dog, are big enough. I mean, I know they are big, but I don't know if they've got the power to dictate what they're going to work on next. I don't know whether they could say to Sony, for instance, well, let's leave Last of Us 2 for now because we want to work on this. I suppose it would just depend on the quality of what they want to work on and the pitch to Sony, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think, anyone who has created Uncharted is going to do an amazing job with Uncharted 4. Who has created Last of Us, I think they'll be left alone, don't you? I think they kind of have a control. I mean, for me, same as Uncharted, I've played Last of Us. I played this on the PS4 for the first time, so I played the remastered. I didn't play it on the PS3, and I was like blown away last year by how good The Last of Us was.
Oh, yeah, it's a beautiful game.
But no spoilers, but I kind of like it how it was left. I kind of, if there was ever a Last of Us, I would like to see maybe a bit like kind of what they're doing with the Walking Dead TV show at the moment with the Fear of the Walking Dead. I'd like to see kind of how the world became, how it is, and I'd like to maybe see how that virus, how that epidemic, how it all just kind of started, rather than a continuation of the story with those characters. I think I'd like another story, but just in that world, because I feel that The Last of Us story was just so perfect. It was just a fantastic story from start to finish, and I just think I'm happy for that to be left there. And I may be in a minority, but if I never got another Last of Us game, I would be happy because I got everything that I needed in that one game.
Yeah, some things are just best left alone. I'm with you on this one, 100%, because it's a beautiful relationship that blossoms between Joel and Ellie. From tragedy coming this bond between the two of them, and yeah, I think it's a great ending, and ambiguity can be the perfect ending sometimes. Let's just leave it to ourselves to decide, So, yeah, I'm with you on that. But there's plenty of room in that universe for other things to go on. I mean, look, 100,000 years later, that's when Horizon Zero Dawn started. So we've got a sequel anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. And they did bring out the DLC as well to Last of Us, and that was fantastic. That was before Joel and Ellie's story started, and that was a fantastic DLC, and I really enjoyed that story as well. And that's what I'm saying. I would happily stay in that world. I would happily, have another story, but just another couple of characters, different characters, finding out how it happened, or maybe just kind of how it's all getting solved. I just think we should just leave those two where we left them.
Yeah. The atmosphere in that game and the realisation of the world, really a joy to experience. And you're not playing it on PS3. That's fine, because I bet it's amazing on PS4. It was a day one for me on PS3. And, this is the thing with Naughty Dog. That some of the reviews of the remaster that I read said it's hard to see the difference because Naughty Dog were just so masterful with the PS3 toward the end of its life that, it was difficult to make it look better. You can see that it's better and it's up the resolution and what have you. But it was just sort of saying it's an accolade to them what they did to that game on PS3, and yeah, I found it an amazing game, a joy to play through. It is a bit weird because it's quite sad in its story, but it's, as a game, as a piece of art and a thing of beauty, it's just it was great. And it was great that they came from this angle, that it wasn't just about mowing people down and everything, and they did sort of get that emotionally engaging story through, and they weren't scared about just throwing in the set pieces. It was just nice.
Absolutely, and I think I'm going to get that again with Uncharted, where whether you say that it's hard to see the difference between the two, that it's very subtle because they did so well. And I think when you get to Uncharted 2, Uncharted 3, they look stunning on the PS3. So on the PS4, there is going to be, you can tell it's kind of tarted up a little bit, but it's going to be hard to see it. And I think that whatever Naughty Dog were doing, they were doing it right on the PS3.
Yeah, absolutely.
So up next, we have a release date for that gorgeous Xbox One Elite controller that 50% of the Lost Sparks have pre-ordered. So I pre-ordered that. I mean, I got hands-on. I got hands-on at Gamescom, and hopefully, maybe we'll see it this weekend, because you definitely should have a play with it, Aaron, because it's absolutely sexy. But we have a release date for that, and no surprises that it's coming out October 27th, which is the same release date as Halo 5. So both of those are coming out. I'm pretty sure we'll probably see a bundle together or something like that. But so you can pre-order it now on Amazon. You can pre-order it at the Microsoft Store, but it's coming out same day as Halo Guardians. So I'm hoping, because when I got to play this at Gamescom, because I went through the demo and got told off by the person demoing to me because I was too excited about it. She gave me two, where you have the D-pad, she gave me two kind of limited edition D-pads, and there was one that was Forza and one that was Gears of War. So they look really lovely, and I've got those kind of ready for when my controller turns up. But it would be really nice if we started seeing these maybe in the games, like in Halo Guardians, that you could or you could buy them separately, you just get them. Because the one for Gears of War, it has all of the different controls, so there's a grenade or a change of weapon, and you can actually see those on the D-pad, and it just clicks in, because this controller is a thing of beauty, and it just kind of clicks in, and it's there. So it's I hope they do that for more games, and just kind of have those as little kind of additional kind of little chopskis that you can get and stick into that D-pad.
Yeah, absolutely. A bit like the ColecoVision, where you used to slide the card inside, depending what game it was, over the numeric pad, sort of thing.
There you go.
It's like the ultimate evolution of that.
But it's just quite nice, I can't wait to get this controller and stick the Forza one on. It's got like Forza 10 years of Forza, kind of stick that on when I'm playing Forza. I will actually do that. I will kind of click that in, and when I'm playing those games, it's just, there's something that was quite nice about
touch,
it.
Yeah.
It really is, and like I say, you get to play with this at the weekend. You will love it, and because it's got a really nice weight to it. Those different kind of little paddles at the back, and you can change all of your button configuration, etc. It's a lovely controller.
I think if I was going to get that controller, I would go the whole hog and get the 1 terabyte bundle, because I think that's just such good value with the controller included.
Yes,
I know we discussed this on another podcast, but if I was going to spend, is it £140? Round about that, whatever it is, 120 quid. I just think that
I think it's something like that, isn't it?
I was thinking about it, and I was just like, the 1 terabyte one's not that much more, really, and you get the Elite as well, and it's got the hybrid solid state drive. It's sort of, I was thinking about it the other day, and I was thinking, oh man, I would like that.
Absolutely, it's very good to make, as we said before, maybe take your day one Xbox back, switch that in at Game or something like that, or CEX, trade that in and then get this one. Yeah. That comes out November 3rd, isn't it? The Xbox 1 terabyte Elite bundle comes out November 3rd. So you'd have to wait a little bit.
That comes with an Elite controller, doesn't it?
It does indeed, and also the Xbox One is matte as well, so it matches the controller.
So if you get that, you get the Elite controller a bit earlier than the standalone release.
No, well, the standalone release comes first, because the standalone is coming October 27th.
Oh, sorry, I thought you said November the 27th then. Sorry about that, I misheard.
And then the Elite bundle is the following week, which is November 3rd.
Good clarification there. Yeah. Oh, cool. Okay, so yeah, that's what I think. That's what I think I'd do, and I was quite tempted. Did you see that Phil Spencer was questioned on it the other day? Did you see that little article?
No,
I forget which website it was, but somebody was asking him. It was basically, so what do you think, Phil? You've brought out the Elite Xbox. Are you saying that existing, owners of the existing Xbox One should upgrade? Is this what you're trying to do? You're trying to tell people that it's time to move on, which is an insane question, really, I think, because obviously it isn't. But they asked the question anyway. But you can get a bit miffed when something new comes out. So they did just ask the question. And his reply was basically, as you'd expect from Spark's special friend Phil, it was just an honest answer, which I completely agree with. And he was like, he said, no, not at all. It's not for that. We're not trying to tempt people away from having their existing Xbox Ones. He said the main difference that you're going to notice, besides the cosmetics, is it is going to be faster for, say, booting up the console for you to be able to use it and things like that. He said, but all in, it's not going to be, there's not going to be any real significant difference that I would say you'd have to upgrade. He said the reason for, and I'm just saying this from memory, he said the reason for it is basically that there's always people, there's always Microsoft fans or gamers that want to get the best that we can provide. And it's a shame to ignore these people. We're about backing the gamers, whatever they want. We'll give them the best sort of economy bundle that we can do. But we've also seen that there's a market for sort of a premium, hence the Elite controller, really. That wasn't him speaking. That was just me adding that in. And so he said, and this is what we're doing with this. We're giving an option to people that love sort of the best that we can offer, and we're going to give them an option that's it's not in any way superseded the architecture of the Xbox One, but it is giving them a few added bells and whistles, such as the 1 terabyte solid state, etc. And he said, so that's what it's there for. He said, as for if you've already got an Xbox One, would I say you need to upgrade? Not at all. He wasn't saying that at all. He was just saying either if you've got an Xbox One and you just love to have the latest stuff and the best stuff that we can provide, there's an option. And if you're looking now and you haven't got an existing Xbox One, it's an option. So it's just an option for sort of people that are that dedicated and have got that disposable income just to jump in. And I thought that, it was an honest and completely plausible and good explanation.
Yeah, absolutely. Because what we have to remember is, you and I obviously went out and bought them day one, but there's still people that are on the fence, or they're just maybe winding up on their Xbox 360. There isn't a game yet. The new Halo comes along. That could be one that they want. The new FIFA could be one they want. Even Forza. So it's always someone's first console, I guess.
Yeah, it's always going to be someone's first console. And the later on down the lifespan of a console that you join, the more options you've got. And we've already discussed this, and me having a bit of a moan, but I'd invested day one, I want compensation, all that rubbish. But, we've had that good gaming juices for so long, because of our investment. That's what our investment has brought us. It's brought us gaming goodness on the next generation from day one. And so there you go. It's just about options for people. It's a bit like me sort of at first resenting HD collections, because I'm thinking that these guys are only selling to me, and I'm like, I've already played it, I'm not interested. There's a whole world out there of gamers, of all different, just all different people, and there's horses for courses for everybody, and there's just different options there. So, and again, it's kind of, I sometimes wish that I wasn't so impatient, because you do get a better deal and more choice later down the line. But I would never wait that long, as I know you wouldn't. But it's good that they can carry on support that, and the argument that they have got sort of not a policy, but just sort of it's part of their values to provide not only the best value that they can, but also to give something a little bit more premium. I just kind of like that, a bit like Apple do, with like the golden watches and stuff. You know the ones I mean. You'll know better than me. There's an Apple Watch, isn't there, that's sort of just really loads because it's like gold and stuff. I mean, they're not going that far, but you know what I mean. Just adding that extra touch of luxury to those that choose that they want that.
Absolutely. You know, it's the same with anything, isn't it? TVs, cars, you know, all of there's always that kind of luxury version of one of those products, and I quite like that they have that, because there are people that do just want to buy that premium, you know, that they invest all of their money into one platform, that's Xbox, so they're going to go for that premium platform, you know. And if I hadn't bought an Xbox and someone showed me that controller, I would want that. And then walking into game and I saw that there was a bundle with that controller, it's perfect. It's great, you know. And I do think that this year there's going to be a lot of kind of first people's Xboxes, so there to have that there and ready for you. I mean, if you look, you know, both consoles, there's a lot of limited edition consoles this Christmas for both platforms. You know, PlayStation 4 just announced a Call of Duty one that has kind of orange lines all over it. Looks a bit gaudy, but, you know, if you like Call of Duty and you like, you know, Black Ops, then that's the, and you want to get all of that content then on the PlayStation 4, then that's the console for you, you know. And it's just, so it's an interesting one, and like I say, it definitely is. It's nice that there is a high end version of it too.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all about choice, which is great. And so on to the next piece of news, and that is from website PlayStationLifestyle.net, PlayStationLifestyle.net, and that's regarding the fairly recent game on PS4, Until Dawn. Now, what this is getting at is basically that there didn't seem to be that much of a marketing push for this game, considering that it was a PS4 exclusive and the budget was probably quite high in developing this game because of the cast. You know, you had a few famous people here in this game, a few famous voice acting roles there, and I don't know how you feel about it, but I feel really, apart from it hit release day, I mean, we've got a vested interest anyway, so we noticed these things. The only thing that I really picked up my ears about this game was that I thought it wasn't going to be a full price game, and when I found out it was like full price, I was kind of like, oh, right, okay. And I sort of decided that I'd wait for it, even though I was very interested in it from what I'd seen before. But, yeah, I haven't been hit by, you know, I haven't been seeing, you know, adverts. It hasn't sort of been there, you know, in the noise of gaming that we sort of got our fingers in, as we sift through for news and just gaming goodness. I haven't really noticed Until Dawn. It's sort of, I felt that there hasn't been that much marketing behind it. Have you found that, or have you found that you've been hit with Until Dawn and stuff?
No, I mean, I must admit, I think the only time I've seen Until Dawn was we were watching Agent Carter on whatever channel that is. I think it's on FX on Sky, and they had some adverts for it every now and then. But no, you're right. There definitely seems to be, because, you know, this is an exclusive title where PlayStation haven't got a lot of exclusive titles. So you would think that you would have thought they would have stuck a lot of money behind it and tried to really go for it. But like I say, I think I saw it on E4 maybe in the weekend of the launch of the release. There was a few adverts, but I think in between Agent Carter was the most. But, you know, you would expect to see something sponsored by Until Dawn or something like that. You would really expect PlayStation to chuck a lot of money about it. And even in London, I haven't really seen it on tubes or anything like that either.
It seems it's been quite subtle. And like exactly, you hit the nail on the head there. It's one of very few exclusives to PS4 that's coming out this year. They could have made a bit of a song and dance of it, and it doesn't seem that they did. So PlayStationLifestyle.net met up with Sony Worldwide Studios boss Shuhei Yoshida and asked him that question. Basically, they met up with him at TGS, Tokyo Game Show, and they asked him, how do you determine the level of marketing and promotion that a game gets before launch? Because it seems like some critical darlings and good sellers, recent example, Until Dawn, get little push compared to others. What are the deciding factors? So that's quite a brave question to ask Shuhei Yoshida, I think. Yeah. So he replied anyway, and it's a fair enough reply. His reply is that each region has its own marketing department. He's passed the buck already. Each region has its own marketing department with its own goals for a year and its own budget for the year. Of course, there are lots of relations among the regions and worldwide studios, but differences could be based on the popularity, of the genres or titles. Each marketing department makes the final decision on how much a particular product gets pushed. So that's quite interesting. And then he went on to say that sometimes games like Until Dawn find great reception from reviews and consumers after launch. In that case, some additional marketing push can be created to sustain that momentum post-launch. And I hear great support continuing in all regions for Until Dawn. It's not like Uncharted, but still our marketing departments are responsive to the reactions from consumers. So I wasn't completely satisfied with the answer. I thought it was a little bit woolly. But then, I'm not sure if Shuhei Yoshida, I don't know if he speaks English or if he gets translated.
Oh no, he speaks really good English. He's been on he's been on the Game Over Greggy show. He's been, a full-time, in a non-Sony capacity, in just a kind of mess around capacity. He's been, he's very fluent.
Cool. I never said that. I've probably seen him on E3, but just the way I read that, I was just thinking, is that a bit of a translation thing? But reading between the lines, I just thought, kind of, is it that, like, because I know it's had some success because of the nature of the game. It's been quite popular on Let's Plays and stuff on YouTube, because it's the kind of game that people can just sit down and sort of watch. I imagine it's quite good. I bet it fits that format really well, and it's got quite viral on there. It even managed to be YouTube's top trending game for the month. When it was released, so that's good. That's big, So I'm thinking maybe the marketing departments have got some insight there, and they sort of hear about this and they think, well, that platform is advertising enough for us. We don't need to do any more.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and also it might be a little bit of, if you remember this game about a year, 18 months ago, when they first showed Until Dawn, it was a very different game. I think it might have even used PlayStation Move.
It was designed for Move at first, wasn't it? Yeah.
So, maybe because they obviously went back, they redeveloped the game, so maybe they had not a concrete faith in it. Maybe they had, they were a bit rocky about it, wasn't quite sure. And as you say, maybe they're hoping for that trending to happen, because you're right, it's full of little set pieces that could very easily be very YouTubeable, if that's even a word. It
is now.
It is now. Yeah, it's very kind of just kind of little snippets of it, and I have seen it time and time again. And I'm the same as you. If it wasn't a full price title, I would have jumped in, because it sounds like a whole bunch of fun. It sounds like a teen horror, but instead of wondering why these kids aren't doing what you're telling them to do, you're actually doing, what they should be doing, like getting the hell out of the house, And so that would be me, though. As soon as the game starts, I'll just get out and just keep running.
Yeah, I like the concept of it. I really like, because I think there's like 7 or 8 characters in the game, and you can either kill everyone or not kill anyone, or any of the options in between that, just keep your favourites and stuff. And I really like the sound of it. And when I saw the trailers at E3 and whatnot, I was thinking, this looks top. This looks like a great game, because I quite like heavy rain type games anyway. I don't mind a bit of spectacle over playability sometimes. And it was just exactly that. It was just, when I saw the price, I was just like, you're all right. So I'm going to wait. Now, I'd like to say that when the price is right, I'd jump in, but because of the standard of the amount and standard of games these days, there's great games coming out that I'm sort of looking forward to. It's a bit like we were talking about earlier with games. It's like, I don't know when the window would be to fit it in. So maybe it's missed its shout with both of us because of that. Because when will we have the time? If it would have been 30 quid, it would have been, we would have been much more motivated to get on board.
Absolutely, for me, I think it would be a really good Halloween game. But even if you go onto Amazon at the moment, it's still £46 on Amazon. So it's quite a it's a solid kind of 6 or 7 hours gaming. So it's quite a chunk for that. What we should do? We should go old school with this, and we should buy it. Split it in half. We pay like £23 each, and then when you're finished with it, you should send it down to me.
Yeah, we could do that.
We should go old school and swap games.
Wow. Yeah, we could totally do that. And we both have we just both play it once and then discuss our adventure.
Yes, indeed. Because this, the way that you play games with Claire, this would work perfect. You'd just be sitting there, both of you would be coming up with what's happening next, and kind of screaming at each other to press the X button. I think it would be quite a good gaming experience.
Yeah,
but only if it was just, that little bit cheaper. Like you say, you could share, or it could come down. Hopefully, at some point, I'm sure this game is kind of almost ripe, isn't it, for an Amazon post-Christmas sale? That day after Boxing Day, you go onto Amazon and this will be £17 or something.
Yeah, I'll tell you what else it's right for. It's right for a PSN game, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's an interesting insight as well to hear Yoshida talk about the way that marketing works for Sony as well, saying that each region's got its own marketing with its own goals for the year, and they make the decisions based on sort of their perception of the demand of the consumer and what games they're interested in. So it's quite nice that he'd be so sort of open about that. So I just thought it was a nice thing to report on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, and so what have we got next? Is this with me as well? This is only a quick one. And that is that if you're in the US over the pond from we are here at Blighty, you're in for a treat because the PlayStation 4 has got a free Oddworld new and tasty dynamic theme. And it's free. And reports say that it's actually really good with nice animations, and it's just the whole thing looks really good. So you can only get it on the North American PlayStation Store. I went to the English store to try and get it, and I was sad because it's not available for us in Blighty. But if you're listening out over the pond, go and have a look, download the theme, and see if you like it. For me, I never get any of the themes, free or not. I've installed a few, and I'm just very, I don't know, what am I? Not purist, I think you might say. It's just the way it came. I like it as sort of as nature intended, so I don't mess about with it. I've never seen a theme that appeals to me enough. Even the anniversary, the 20th anniversary one, I can't bear it. It's always just got to be the way it is.
Do you know what? It's hilarious because I'm exactly the same. I did it a couple of weeks ago. I put the Everybody's Gone to the Rapture theme on, and then I went out to the main area, looked at it, went, yeah, that's lovely. I need the other one back, and I went back and put the default. And I'm exactly the same with my Apple Watch. I can't get away. We got the OS 2, the Watch OS 2 came out, and you get some really cool animated like lock screens. Ones of New York, and I kind of put it for a moment, and then I just went back to the original watch with the original complications, and I'm like that with my iPhone, and it's really bizarre, isn't it, how you can't come away. They give you these options, but when you kind of almost come away from their advertised model, it just feels a bit weird.
Yeah, when push comes to shove, I like it how it's supposed to be, and it just makes me uncomfortable. I tried a few themes. There was one with like a boat sailing on the sea. It was all a bit cartoony. I was just like, that one I just didn't like at all. I can't stand it. I can't stand it. It's just got to be the way it is, It's very strange, but a lot of people say, we want to mess around with it and stuff. I think I changed my background colour on the Xbox One, and I was happy to do that. Or it might have just been the tile colour. And that I didn't mind because it didn't change the interface. It was still the same. I'm not a great fan of that Metro interface anyway, but I still wouldn't change it too much because that's what it's supposed to be like. Oh man, so yeah,
it's weird, isn't it? It's weird how we're just so bizarre sometimes.
I'm glad you're the same as me with that because I thought that was just me being crazy again.
No, it's like when it changes all the icons and things like that. Because there was a Batman one, so I did that. I thought, I'll attach that. And when I come out, I go, no, don't like that. And I think all the icons were on fire or something. And I was like, no, I don't like that. They just changed back to the original. And there's just something about you kind of think that a lot of people have taken a lot of time to come up with that schema, and you just want to stay with it, don't you? Because it just feels right.
Yeah, I mean, I just think you can't beat the original. In 9 times out of 10, you can't beat the original. And yeah, people will probably have worked very hard on these different themes, but I imagine if you think about the hours they spent compared to the hours it was coming up with the original XMB, in development, maybe it pales into insignificance. I don't know, but for me, I just like it the way it is, and free theme, Oddworld free theme. You could give me, what am I loving at the moment? I think there's a Metal Gear Solid theme, and I wouldn't like it. I don't even need to bother looking at it because I don't care. I'm in love with this game. Even a Final Fantasy VII theme, even a Katamari theme, it wouldn't matter. For some reason, like you say, I'd look at it, I go, oh, that's cool, and I'd have a play. Say it was Katamari, and I might watch the icons grow or something as I went through them, and then I'd be like, oh, okay, that was fun. Right, go back.
Yeah, just go back to default.
Yeah, go back. Yeah, cool. And so my next piece, I think I've got a couple here. My next piece of news is from website powerupgaming.co.uk, and this is reporting that video game voice actors could have a strike. Wow. And David Hayter and other major names are lending their support. David Hayter obviously being the voice of Snake before Kiefer took it over in MGS5. And actually, just a bit of a segue there. What do you think about that? Are you happy with Kiefer's voice as Snake?
Well, I guess I'm fine with it. I'm happy with it just because.
I just think it's 24 now. I think it's 24.
But the problem is that Snake is really silent. The amount of games that I've played so far, he's really a kind of silent protagonist at the moment.
I think they paid him I think they had to pay Kiefer by the word.
Yeah, exactly. If he did, he didn't get much. It's just because he really is kind of quite a kind of. So I guess with David Hayter, you used to kind of a lot of cutscenes, and he's in Guns of Patriots, he was just chatty. So it's very interesting.
Even I found a lot of the content in the previous games was that Snake just used to copy everything. He'd just repeat, wouldn't he? Did you notice that? He'd just repeat, so someone would say something to him. I'll do an impression of it. Just tell me something, and I'll.
So it's like, Snake, we want you to infiltrate the base.
Infiltrate the base. And that was the majority of it for me.
It really was like, oh, what do you mean?
It was like that. Whatever they said, they'd just say, oh, well, look, we've got to be careful of Psycho Mantis. Careful of Psycho Mantis. And, I bet 50% of the script was just repetition like that. But I liked it. And I got, because you just get used to it, don't you? And I quite liked it. But anyway, back to the story. So this article saying that some games could sound very different, and that might be a good thing because there seems to be only about 3 or 4 guys that we're hearing their voices in these games. But a number of prominent voiceover artists are currently voting in a general ballot with the SAG-AFTRA. No, that isn't what I ordered last night at the Indian restaurant. It's actually a body which is the Screen Actors Guild and the American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, which brings together 2 American labour unions. So this encompasses the games actors as well as pretty much everything else within entertainment over in the US. So that's SAG-AFTRA. So they're having this ballot. It's the largest union that represents video game actors, and there's a possible strike action because there's been stalled negotiations over performance bonuses and worker rights within that side of the industry. So there's a couple of hashtags that you can have a look at on Twitter to see what people are saying. There's hashtag Performance Matters and hashtag I Am On Board 2015. They've been gaining a bit of momentum over on social networks over the last day or so. And you've got industry veterans like David Hayter, Steve Blum, Greg Griffin, DC Douglas and Ken Lally all lending support to the campaign. There's been several rounds of negotiations with big-name companies like EA, Activision, Disney and Warner Brothers concerning an agreement called the Interactive Media Agreement, and its members were bound by this until the end of last year, but they have been unable to come to an agreement over proposed changes to this contract. So the proposals that they want greater compensation in the form of sales-based royalties. So presumably there aren't enough options there at the moment for the voice actors. They want the limitation of vocally stressful recording sessions, greater transparency during the audition process, and the presence of a stunt coordinator on set for all performance capture or mocap.
That's hilarious.
So it is. It's like you're doing the voice.
It's like, sorry, I only do the voice. I don't do forward rolls. I'm just here as a thespian, don't you know? Wow.
10 years at RADA reduced to this.
It's like, you want to stick ping pong balls over me? How?
And then they say, look, it's only on your face.
See, I was with you up until that last one, because that last one made me laugh. Do you know what? They're probably all just sour grapes because Troy Baker and Nolan North are getting all the voice acting. acting
Yeah,
now.
I bet the main thing that they're saying is that it's not just allowed to go to them. That's why they want this greater transparency during the audition process, isn't it?
Exactly. You know, I mean, but David Hayter is quite interesting because David Hayter did. You know, I mean, obviously he's been in all of the Metal Gear games, but he's been in other games, and he also writes movies as well. He actually wrote Watchmen. You know, the movie adaptation of Watchmen, obviously.
Yeah.
He didn't write Watchmen, but that was Alan Moore. But he actually wrote the movie adaptation of Watchmen. So,
what a fantastic fact. I didn't know that. That's well cool.
You're welcome. I've listened to a podcast. I've listened to a couple of interviews with him because I do love his voice. You know, he's got such a great voice. But that last one just made me chuckle. Sorry, I didn't mean to segue you, but that just really made me chuckle.
No, that's totally fine. Does he speak like that? Is that his normal voice? I thought he put it on.
No, unfortunately not. When they introduced him, he was just like, you know, he was like, hello. No, he wasn't. It was like David Beckham. That would be
Sorry,
horrible.
Bex.
That would be horrible, wouldn't it? If you go, right now, over to David Hayter, and he's like, hello.
Oh, how's it going?
Oh, you shouldn't say that about me. You'd be like, oh my God.
I'll have a union on you. I'll have a union on that. They made me do a forward roll.
They stuck ping pong balls all over my privates. Oh, Jesus. So is this a recent thing then? Is this a...
Yeah. This is a recent thing. Yeah. I mean, this article came out today.
Wow.
So yeah, you know, this is pretty current. So just to repeat the date, but today we're recording 23rd. This should be out 24th September 2015. But for the excuse me. What was I going to say then? Yeah, but the video companies, you know, they're not having it all. They're not going to let them have it all their own way. These pesky voice actors. They've put forward a list of proposals of their own, and they want the right to be able to fine performers up $2,500 for instances of inattentiveness and lateness.
Absolutely. I mean, it's quite interesting because I do like this whole idea of these voice actors, because I do think, you know, people like Nolan North and Troy Baker, you know, they are kind of stealing the show, and they're almost becoming, you know, as well known. You know, for you and I guess, you know, we're quite nerdy with our games, so they are quite well known. And, you know, they have recording studios at home as well. So Nolan North, when he was recording a lot of the stuff from Destiny, you know, he would just go into his own little recording booth at home, in a little cupboard, so he'd get really good sound, and then just record them and send them on. You know, because there's obviously a list of what they want to say and stuff like that. So I kind of agree. Obviously, I don't agree with that they want a percentage of the sales, because I do feel like, you know, you come in, you do...
It's not their creation, is it?
Exactly. You come in, you do a job, and then you leave. I think a writer, a director, a developer of a game, you know, a composer, you know, as we had last week with the Halo composer, you know, those people should get a cut, because they're... But even when I'm, you know, as I'm saying, I'm waxing lyrical about kind of Troy Baker and Nolan North and stealing the show, I still don't think they should get a cut of it. That's like a backing singer wanting a cut of, you know, of a song.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's
but
interesting.
maybe they're just making a stand. Maybe it started off that they just started to get the hump about the same guys just doing the same old thing, and then it just grew, you know, because there was already a bone of contention there. It was just like, yeah, and another thing. You know what I mean?
Another thing, enough with the ping pong balls.
Yeah, absolutely. I've had enough of that. Oh, so have I.
Shut up, David.
Oh, brilliant. Who does Sully in Uncharted? Is that Troy Baker?
No, because Troy Baker plays the brother in Uncharted, doesn't he?
That's right.
Nolan North obviously plays. What's the main?
Oh, Nathan Drake.
Yes, there you go.
Yeah. And okay, that's fine. And can you remember? I'm just doing this off the cuff now. Who did the voice of? I can't remember. The trainer guy in The Witcher 3. I can't remember. Vesemir.
I don't know.
I want to find out. Voice actor. I'll just edit this. Please listen to these messages. I'm just really intrigued now. Vesemir, voice actor. Crikey, Google, you're not my friend today. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Can't find it quick enough. So yeah, anyway, that was a little piece of news about the voice actors, you know, rallying together and demanding more rights. But I haven't read any horror stories about the conditions, these horrible conditions that they're expected to work in. So, you know, but I would like a bit of diversity. I would like to hear a few different, different voices, because a lot of the times you can hear that same voice and you're like, oh, it's him again, sort of thing, So it'd be nice to have a bit more diversity there.
Absolutely, it's quite interesting because the guy who does Marcus Phoenix in Gears of War, and he's a giant of a man. He does voices on, I believe, SpongeBob.
Oh wow!
So and he does voices on a lot of different kids' TV shows as well, and there is a lot of. It's quite interesting. I've listened to a podcast about voice actors, and the same voice actor did voices on all of the animation shows that we loved as a kid, from Transformers all the way through to the Animaniacs and things like that, and it's just really interesting when you kind of see how incestuous that world is.
Yeah, absolutely. So, moving onwards, what have we got here? Yes, this item is about more evidence. Have you seen this news that people are seeing PS2 games running on the PS4?
No.
Yeah, so I've seen a few things in the last few days, a few news articles that are saying, oh, look, we've seen this PS2 game running on PS4, and it's all about this PS4 3.0 firmware beta.
Oh, interesting.
So it seems that people that have got the PS4 3 firmware beta running have been seen playing PS2 games. So there was a screenshot from Siren that was shown the other day. So that was a PS2 game, and it was basically a snapshot from the PS dashboard. And then that was quickly, the guy said, "Oh no, it was a fake. It was just a hoax. I just put it up for a laugh." But then somebody else has seen something else now, and it's another PS2 game up there, and that was War of the Monsters, which I haven't really heard of, but it's a PS2 game apparently. Been shown twice now. This one was from an anonymous tip, and it just showed someone else playing a PS2 game. So even though I haven't heard of War of the Monsters, it just being a PS2 game, just starting to indicate that as part of this PS4 3.0 firmware update, it's looking more and more likely that we're going to get PS2 game compatibility. Does that mean we're going to get PS3 game compatibility as well? I'm not sure, but it's starting to look like, certainly, the discerning rumour person would, or the discerning person that can add 2 and 2, you'd think that within this new beta that we're going to get some backwards compatibility, perhaps.
Do we have a date yet on the 3.0 coming out?
No, I don't think so. Just they're still rolling out the beta, I think. And me and you both applied, didn't we? But
we did indeed.
I haven't heard anything.
No, I haven't seen anything on my dashboard or anything like that. With the Xbox One, I'm waiting for a pre-approval or something like pending change or something, I think it says. But I haven't heard anything on the firmware 3.0. But it would be interesting, that would be a fantastic headline, wouldn't it, if at the PlayStation Experience in December, if they said, you could backward compatibility, just as Microsoft are about to have their biggest launch season ever, then PlayStation just then launch backwards compatibility.
Yeah, and Microsoft kind of forced their hand a little bit because of what they announced. So maybe they've just thought, well, this is something that we've got to have. I don't know. I really don't know. And it might all come to nothing, but I just thought it was the second instance that I'd seen this mentioned, so I just thought it was worth mentioning on the pod and just raising people's awareness of it. That if that's true, if these screenshots are true, then it's looking overly more than likely that we're going to get PS2 backwards compatibility on the PS2. So I might dig out my copy of Katamari. We love Katamari and pop it in, and that would be cool.
Yes. Absolutely, it's fantastic if they do this. I mean, if you imagine if PlayStation were thinking, okay, Xbox have come out, Microsoft have come out, they've got backwards compatibility, how can we top it? Then I think you've said it previously, if they brought out backwards compatibility and also maybe, with PS Now, coupled both of them together with PS Plus, bada bing, you've got such a great feature then that would just have people playing old games for free, almost kind of like on a free Netflix subscription type thing. It's just, there's some things that they could do if they were smart and if they wanted to have some real quick wins. There are some things that they could do with this, and it'll be interesting to see. Maybe they're waiting for one of those conferences, Paris Games Week or the PlayStation Experience to announce.
Yeah, absolutely. I've been quite intrigued with PlayStation now after the conversations that we've had, and I've scrolled through the list a number of times, and if it wasn't for my sheer pig-headedness, because I want to see how it runs. I was really tempted to give it a test, but it was just blind stubbornness that I was like, no, I disagree with this. I've paid for Shadow of the Colossus and Ico HD pack. I'm not going to pay whatever it is to rent it for a few days. I refuse. So I didn't do it. It's only a few quid, but it's just my stupid principles.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I told you, didn't I, that I played it as part of a beta for PS Now. I was one of the betas, and I was just scrolling through. They had Arkham Origins that I never finished on the Xbox 360 because the Xbox One came out, and I just clicked on it. It said your broadband is good enough to start playing. Off it went, and it looked fine. There was no lag. It looked like my PS. It looked like my Xbox 360, if you know what I mean. It looked like last gen, and there was no lag. And it took a while when the game started loading, and they just went, right, we're ready to play. Do you want to play? And I said yes. So that was it. It was there. It was just streaming as I was playing. And I've got quite good broadband, but it was perfect. It worked really well. It's just the fact that I find that the prices are just a little bit pricey. I think sometimes it just.
Yeah, they're not encouraging, are they? They're not,
no.
They're not. It's not a price point that encourages you to just have a dabble.
Again, if it was like Netflix, if they said, £8 a month, let's say £10 a month, you can play as much as you want. You got a Netflix model for the PlayStation backwards compatibility. You'd be dipping in and out of that all the time.
Yeah, absolutely, and it would be such a coup. It'd be great, and. Who cares about trying to one-up or equal Microsoft? Who cares? As usual, the gamers would win.
Indeed. Last news item that we have is that for any of those that had the pants scared off of them by the PT demo, so that PT demo that was I guess it was a precursor to the now cancelled Silent Hills.
It was indeed. Have you still got that? Have you got that on your PS4?
Well, I haven't deleted it. So does that mean I can still play it?
Yeah, I think so. I remember when it was first decided that they took it out of the store. Some PS4s were on eBay within minutes for quite a lot. I don't know. Being on eBay at a high price doesn't mean that they may have sold on eBay. I don't know if any of them sold, but they were on eBay for £700 and things like that because they got the PT demo
game still installed. Wow.
Yeah. And then it was there was a rumour saying, well, they're going to delete it off your system anyway as part of a firmware update. And I've got it, but I can't remember. I haven't checked it for that long. I don't know if it's still there or not.
All right, I'll have a look later.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, they're a developer, a UK developer called Lilith Limited, have created a game called Allison Road, and this appears to be a bit of a spiritual successor to that PT game. So this is currently it's up for crowdfunding, and they hope to go to market with it. So what they're after £250,000, which is about $387,000, to get this first-person next-gen survival horror title. And they also, if they get to their Kickstarter goal, they will also include Oculus Rift VR support for it as well. So this is a game. The trailer looks very similar to PT, and in Allison Road, you explore a house that has a supernatural events are happening within the house, and the main character's waking up with no idea what happened in the house and must figure out the mystery whilst being stalked by mysterious creatures. Now this sounds exactly like PT, and like I say, if you look at the demo, I'll stick a link to this GameSpot article in the podcast notes, but if you've played or seen PT, it looks very similar to that. So it's a lot of kind of walking down halls, a lot of scary stuff happening, and it just looks quite scary. So, but it's an interesting one, and I wondered how long it would take for someone to actually kind of cotton onto that idea, because it was such a great demo.
Yeah, it was so well received, wasn't it? People were saying that PT. It wasn't even a demo, didn't it? A playable trailer. They're saying the PT playable trailer is the best game of the year, sort of thing like that. Because everyone, I think, at that point was just a bit sick of everything that was available at the moment, and it was such a sort of left field entry in there, and it was like, wow, it was sort of like it scratched an itch that everybody wanted, but crikey, it was scary.
It really was. I remember playing it down in the movie room, and I was just kind of shouting at the TV, going, "Nope, nope, nope!" And I kept pausing the game and walking away. It really scared me.
Sort of walking away, shaking your head like, "Nah."
Nope, I'm not going to play it. I remember Nicola coming down. She goes, "Right, I'm going to bed now." And she kind of turned the light off. I was like, "No, put the light back on. Put the light back on," because I was that scared. And I just thought, "Wow, if this can make me that scared, then what is this game going to be?" And unfortunately, we won't get that because the Kojima Del Toro kind of coupling is not going to happen.
No, that's a real shame. But crikey, man, put a game like that into VR. Oh man, that just scares the willies out of me.
Absolutely. And on that scary note, that's about it for this episode. So all that's left to say is a big thank you for listening. Thanks to all of the feedback we've also been getting about the podcast as well. It's been absolutely appreciated. We'd like to thank, we had a user called R. Denny, gave us some fantastic feedback. Wellomad, Jules Bod as well. We've had all of those listeners giving us some good feedback on whether it's been PlayStation, Xbox or on iTunes. So thank you very much, guys. That's been fantastic. Don't forget you can keep up with us at gamersoflostspark.com. You can also find us on Facebook. We're on Twitter, where we're at Lost Spark Pod, and you can also find us on YouTube. Darren, where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can get me as Wythamator on PS4, Xbox One and Twitch, Dazagamer on YouTube, and at Dazwitham on Twitter.
Fantastic. For me, I am Chessman on Xbox Live, PS-Chessman on the PlayStation Network, and Chessman UK on Twitter. And if you have any feedback, then please send us an email, where our email address is feedback@gamersoflostspark.com. Or, of course, if you're feeling generous, you can always leave us a review on iTunes. So that's about it. Hopefully, we may see you at Eurogamer on Sunday, but if we don't, have a good week, and we'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, thanks a lot for listening. Bye.